Hello everybody, welcome back to the Daily Cooking Show, to the Daily Cooking Stream. I hope you've all been having a beautiful Wednesday today. Is today Wednesday? It is a Wednesday. If you're watching this live, it is Wednesday. It is currently 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Hello, hello, hello. And I see that we have all of my lovely sous chefs in chat. I apologize for the false start. We had a bit of a misinput in the beginning, but now we're fine. Now we're back and we're better than ever, I think. Actually, do I have enough light in my kitchen? Seems a little bit darker than usual today, but that's okay. Hello to Eliam, hello to Taza, hello to Dosky, hello to Tarina Chess, hello to Jack, hello to Eliam. Who else do we have in chat at the moment? Hello to Joan. I see that we also have Joan, and I think that's enough scrolling for me for a second. Hi, hello, it's good to see all of you. Everybody, I'm pretty excited about today's stream. I apologize for missing out on the weekend. As you may know, we did not stream the last Friday or Sunday, but now we're back onto the regular schedule with a little bit of a makeup stream. Next week, I have an extra stream. If you want to find out all the dates, you can go on my Twitter, you can go on the Discord. Hello, hello, hello. So, everybody, we are back, and today we're going to be doing a bunch of things. My inspiration for today, the core of it, is that I wanted to make a guacamole. I want to do a guacamole de molcajete because we have this beautiful molcajete, and I had a couple of avocados in my fridge that I wanted to get rid of. And so I was thinking, what else do I want to actually have with guacamole that's not just chips and just to like dip it, because I feel like that gets a little bit boring. So I wanted to do a bowl. I have some cabbage, I have some radishes, I have some chicken. I'm going to walk you through how to break down the chicken. I'm going to show you how to get the breast. We're going to season it. We're going to make a delicious seasoning for it. And then we'll be also making a beautiful pot of black beans. So that's also going to be pretty exciting. I love making beans from scratch. Guys, as you may know, we don't do canned beans on the stream because it's cheaper and it tastes better to go with dried beans. So hello to Kaze, hello to Good Weirdo, hello, hello, hello. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a recap. Let's go ahead and do a recap of not a recap, excuse me. Let's walk through all of the different ingredients that we have for today. And we're going to start with this beautiful produce that we have. Hello to WW, welcome on in. Guys, a guacamole starts with a couple of avocados. So I have 2 large avocados here. I don't actually know the variety of avocado that this is. This might be a Hass avocado, although I'm not entirely sure. And I'll walk you through also how to, I'll also walk you through like picking a nice fresh avocado. When it comes to purchasing avocados from the supermarket, it can actually be a little bit challenging. Oftentimes they're either like rock hard or they're not ripe enough and they're like mushy and brown. Hello to Moonhut, welcome on in. Yeah, they could either be like rock hard or they could be too ripe, and I'll walk you through how to actually properly select avocados and what to do if you have an avocado that's a little bit too hard. Also, 2 Dads Kissing, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, thank you. So, in addition, everybody, we have some limes because you can't really have Mexican food without limes. You can't have a guacamole without the limes. So we're going to have some lime juice in the guacamole itself, and then also on top of the bowl as a garnish. We have some serrano chilies. Okay, these serrano peppers, they're going to bring a nice beautiful heat into the guacamole as well. We have some red onion for the flavor, for the allium flavor. And then we also have some radishes. These radishes I had in my fridge. I had 4 radishes that I wanted to get rid of. And I also thought they would make a lovely topping, a lovely condiment to the bowl that we're building. Guys, this is home food. What we're making today is all home food. These are all things that I've had in my fridge that I've wanted to get rid of in a really nice, eloquent fashion. Okay, before the avocados especially started to go bad. Additionally, we have this big, beautiful head of cabbage, guys. Also, hello to Death Coil. Hello to Shiamotis. Hello, hello. Guys, we also have this big, beautiful head of cabbage. We're going to be slicing it up. We'll also have some of this with the bowl today. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that behind me. Moving on. Guys, you cannot have any form of Mexican cooking, including the guacamole, but anything else really, without cilantro. And if you say, oh, Daramgar, I have the cilantro soap chain, perhaps you can substitute it with parsley. But the reason why I'm using cilantro today is, again, I already had this in my fridge and I wanted to get rid of it before it actually went bad. I feel like, is my music loud today? My music is twice as loud as it should be. There we go. I think that's a bit of an adjustment. Guys, so I have a bunch of cilantro. We're going to be putting into the guacamole. It's also going to be a garnish. Sorry about the music volume there for a second. I couldn't hear myself as well. Then we have a bunch of dry black beans. Guys, I do not want to see you using canned beans. I love using dry black beans. They're a lot more cheaper. This is the food of the people. And better yet, you get to control the texture fully when you work from dried beans from scratch. So I like to have my Instant Pot at home to be able to make the process of beans a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. We'll walk through it. But this is something that I want to encourage all of you to get into the habit of doing. Okay? Working from dried beans, you're going to be saving a bit of money and you get to have a lot more control of the final texture. Okay, what else do we actually have to go through? Oh yeah, the chicken. Guys, as you may know, we only buy whole chickens on the stream, and I feel like it's been a while since we broke down a whole chicken. We're only going to be using the breast for today. And then the wings, the thighs, the legs, we'll use that for something else later on. So I'm gonna walk you through how to break down a whole chicken. We'll break it down into all of its individual pieces. And then we're going to take the breast, we're going to season them really beautifully with a bunch of different spices, seal it, and that's also going to go into the bowl as well. Okay, and then finally, guys, we have our seasoning for today. My favorite thing to use for beans, for black beans, is a little bit of sazon. Specifically, the one with cilantro and achiote in it. It's like the orange one. It gives it a wonderful aroma. So I love having this for any pot of beans that I make at home. And then I also have some whole cumin seeds and whole oregano as well. Because guys, we don't work with pre-ground spices on the stream. We grind it ourselves. We make it really nice and beautiful. It has so much more warmth. And we'll talk about the functionality of that later on. So that's a lot of ingredients. Does anybody have any questions before we begin for today? And also, guys, as always, if you haven't already done so, please check out my Patreon. You can type in !Patreon in the chat, or just scroll down into the About section if you want to support what we do, because I would love to be able to do this full time. Okay, let's have a little sip of water. And we can begin with the process of the beans, guys. The beans, we're going to be doing it in a pressure cooker. Also, hello to Skroblo. Welcome on in. We're going to be doing the beans in a pressure cooker. We're going to season them. I'm going to walk you through how to do that in just a moment. So, I think we can go ahead and begin. So, let's quickly move on over to, excuse me. This is my pressure cooker pot, guys. I'm once again doing my beans in the Instant Pot. I think this is one of the easiest and most convenient ways to make beans at home. Oftentimes, working with dried beans and you have to do it in a pot, it can be anywhere between like an hour to a couple of hours depending on the kind of beans that you have, if they're dried, if they're soaked or not. An Instant Pot has been one of the best additions into my home cooking routine to get me to cook beans a little bit more often. Okay, and so into this pot, this is roughly, we're going to first do some water actually. We're going to do about 2 quarts of water per pound of dried beans. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and fill that up really quickly. I neglected to do so before the stream. My apologies. Normally I like doing that just in advance before the cameras are already on. Okay, there we go. That should be okay. And again, the ratio for this is not like super exact, but what I've always shot for is around like 2 quarts of water per pound of dried black beans. Do we wash the beans? Yes, if you would like to. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You can rinse them off if you would like. You can soak them if you would like. But I found for black beans, actually, I don't think black beans need any soaking whatsoever. But you can rinse these off if you'd like. Okay, guys, so roughly 2 quarts of water, and into it is going to go in a pound of dried black beans that I have. I'm just gonna go ahead and dump that into the pot. I think most of the jar. It's not exactly a pound. I'm gonna save these for later. So a pound of black beans, guys, into 2 quarts of water. And now we have to go ahead and figure out how we season the beans. Because guys, beans are not meant to be consumed bland. In any Latin American household, in any Hispanic household, in any Mexican household, your pot of beans, it's seasoned, it's ready to go. It's made into often, refried beans. It's served alongside rice. You have beans with so many different meals. Okay, and we want to go ahead and give these beans a lot of love, a lot of care, and a lot of affection. So let's go ahead and start figuring out how to season it. Okay, let's head on over to the cutting board. And we're going to start with, I like doing a 2-pack of the sazon. Okay. Now the sazon, it's like a nice little seasoning blend. I don't often keep spice blends in my kitchen, but if there was ever a spice blend, chat, I want you all to listen. I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef. Please and thank you. If there was ever a spice blend that you need at home, it would be sazon. Okay. This is one of my favorites to have around. All right, you can use it in stews and soups and beans. I just use mine almost exclusively for the beans, but I make beans so often that it's just really, really nice to have. And the reason why I really like it is because it has achiote. So it has, you know, these annatto seeds that give it like a really, really unique characteristic. It gives it like a really unique taste and a very beautiful orange color. Okay, so if you don't have a thing of sazon at home, figure it out, because I don't really typically hold just like annatto straight up, right? And this is one of the best ways to get annatto into a home kitchen. So a double pack of this, I'm going to go ahead and dump that in right into my pot. You don't even have to mix it around or anything. It'll be pretty much fine as it is. A double pack going inside, excellent. Okay, let's go ahead and think about what else we actually want going into this pot of beans. We want a bunch of aromatics because, guys, a lot of the flavoring is going to be in the bean cooking liquid. You don't want to neglect it. You don't want to sleep on it. The bean cooking liquid is going to reduce down and become its sauce. It's going to become the sauce that then coats and covers the beans. So you want to make sure that your bean cooking liquid is full of aroma and flavor. And so for that, I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of bay leaves. I'm just looking for some intact bay leaves so that we don't get like a bunch of like little pieces. Also, welcome on in, Lady Beto. Welcome, welcome. Lady Beto, excuse me. So yeah, I'm looking for some big pieces of bay leaves, guys. It's kind of stuck at the bottom of my container here. It's a little bit challenging to get out. And the bay leaves, again, they're just going to contribute a nice aromatic quality. I'm looking for ones that aren't broken up or anything so that they're just easier to pick out, because bay leaves are really, really toothsome. Okay, they have a very, very unpleasant texture to them, and you don't ever really get like a soft, tender, edible bay leaf. So all these bay leaves, guys, we're going to go ahead and just dump that directly in the pot. Does anybody have any questions about this cooking process so far? All the bay leaves, just going to take it and I'm going to dump it on in. Lovely. Next, let's go ahead and get some garlic cloves in here. Garlic cloves, same idea. We want to intentionally keep them whole. We want to keep them whole so that we can then really, really easily pick them out afterwards. Because the goal is just for it to contribute its pungency, its flavor into the pot of beans. Okay. But we are going to give this a really, really light smash. We're going to give it a really, really light tap. And the reason we're giving it a light smash, the reason we're giving it a little bit of a tap is because that's how we actually get the pungency of the garlic. The finer that you mince and the finer that you end up crushing and processing a clove of garlic, the more allicin you end up creating. And that allicin is what gives things, you know, that characteristic pungency that garlic could have. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab my bench scraper. I forgot to take it out. And all we're going to do, guys, we're going to just go ahead and give this a slight tap. Just a little tap. And the benefit, the added benefit of giving it a little tap, the benefit of crushing it a bit, is that we then get to separate the clove from the skin of the garlic itself. Okay? Beautiful. Just like that. Okay? And then as you can see, guys, because now that we've smashed it, we've crushed it a little bit, the skin just pops out and we can go ahead and get rid of the skin. Although you don't actually have to peel it because we will still be removing the garlic. I just do this to make the process of taking out the garlic cloves easier. Okay? Because then the skin can sometimes fall apart into the pot. Okay, for garlic cloves, although guys, I'm not gonna lie, the amount that you use here doesn't really matter. You can use basically as many as you like and it's difficult to get too much garlic in this. So 4 garlic cloves going directly into the pot as well. Next, let's go ahead and I'm going to grab a nice little onion here. And we're going to do, guys, we're going to do around half an onion or so. And again, the onion, we're going to intentionally keep it intact. I don't want you breaking up this onion. I don't want you chopping it. We're just going to go ahead and cut it in half. We'll use the rest of it later on. And I'm going to be cutting it. Instead of through the root, I'm actually going to be cutting it in half. Right through the middle of the onion. And the reason I'm doing this is so that the onion can stay a lot more intact and it's a lot easier to pull out. We don't want the onion to fall apart and turn mushy and then just basically dissolve into the beans. We want the onion to contribute its sweetness. We want the onion to contribute its allium quality into the pot of beans, but we don't want it to fall apart. So I'm just going to go ahead and just take this. You can see, right, still the top of it intact. I'm going to go ahead and just dump this into the pot. And now, guys, we can go ahead and evaluate if we want actually anything else into this pot of beans. I'm going for a relatively, like, you know, blander pot of beans than usual. Sometimes they do like chorizo beans. I do that like pretty often. But in this case, this is a completely vegan pot of beans. We just have some garlic. We have some onions. Oh. I think my keyboard started dying. as well. I think my keyboard might be out of battery. So, does anybody have any questions about the bean process thus far? In that pot at the moment, all that we have is the bay leaves, we have the onion, we have the garlic cloves. Okay, we have the 2 packets of the sazon. And all of that is just going to give us a really delicious, simple pot of beans. Guys, I want you all to be making dried beans from scratch if possible. Even if you don't have an instant pot, even if you just have a regular pot, you get to control the texture. You get to keep all of that delicious bean cooking liquid, okay? And you're able to also save a little bit of money as well. So what is sazon? I'm not American. So really good question. Radiohead. Sazon is a very, very popular Hispanic seasoning blend. It consists of some oregano in there, some chili powders. It also has some cilantro, which is a dried herb then that's also ground into a powder. It has some annatto seeds in there. So it is like very, very like distinctive of a lot of like Central American, a lot of Central Latin American cooking, I feel like. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? All that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my pressure cooker. I'm just going to actually quickly wipe off the sides because I noticed that they're still a little bit wet from when I wash the dishes. Just give that a quick little wipe off. Excellent. And I'm going to go ahead and take it and we're going to put it on high pressure for 40 minutes. Okay, and that's just going to be happening off camera and we'll be moving on to everything else that we need to get done for today. And don't worry about the salting of it, by the way. The sazon has a little bit of salt, but then we can also add in salt later on in the cooking process. I just find that it gives me some more consistent results to not have the salt in immediately. Chef, do you play chess? And if so, would you like to play once? I don't know, Jack. I'm not sure if I am that good anymore. I used to be better though. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just set the pressure cooker onto high pressure for 40 minutes. Let's get that done really quickly. Okay, and that's just going now. Does anybody have any questions about this process whatsoever? That's it. That's all the prep work that we need to do for the beans. And once the beans are actually cooked, all we're going to do is we're then going to take the lid off and then we're going to boil down and concentrate that bean cooking liquid. And the reason that we're doing that is because the bean cooking liquid is where all of the protein is, where all of the flavor is in a big, beautiful pot of beans. Something that I hate seeing people do is when they take a can of beans, they open it up and they rinse out and they drain out and they dump out and waste all of that bean liquid. That bean canning liquid, that bean cooking liquid, when reduced down, it becomes like this beautiful viscous sauce. It becomes this viscous sauce that then coats the beans. Okay, to make a beautiful pot of beans, you absolutely need that bean cooking liquid. Is that clear? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef. Please and thank you. It is essential. It is not an option whatsoever. Okay. I'm glad that we're all on the same page. Lovely. Okay. So here's what the next step is for us at the moment, guys. We have to break down a whole chicken. We're going to go ahead and take the breasts off. We're going to take the legs off. We're going to take the backbone, save that for something else later on, because we just need the breast for today. And then with the breasts, we're going to go ahead and heavily season it with some salt. We're going to do something called a dry brine. Are using nutritional value on top of flavor by losing that bean liquid / juice? Absolutely, Shiamotis. Absolutely. You can just tell by like the viscosity of it that it has something in it. Now, I don't actually know the specific nutritional value of the bean cooking liquid. I just know that it has enough proteins and starches in it because it stays nice and thick and viscous, so it has something in it. So I couldn't give you like any, I can't give you like that specific of an answer to your question. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my plastic cutting board ready for the chicken, and we're going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to walk you through how we're doing this and why we're doing this. So, I keep mixing up all of my different transitions today. I apologize. So guys, I have my plastic cutting board here. So the first question that you might be asking me is, why are we starting with a whole chicken for today? The reason that we're starting with a whole chicken is because generally speaking, it is cheaper to buy whole chickens than to buy 2 breasts, 2 legs, 2 wings, etc. And the beauty of buying a whole chicken is that you get the best byproduct known to mankind, which is all of the chicken bones of which we'll be able to make a beautiful stock out of. Having a whole chicken and constantly having in my fridge, I have like a bag of like frozen chicken bones, and then every now and then I make like a big pot of chicken stock, is how I keep the chicken stock constantly replenished. Okay. We constantly replenish that supply of homemade chicken stock. One of the best ways that you can really upgrade your ability to cook at home is by using homemade chicken stock. Boxed chicken stocks tend to suck. They're not really good, they're very bland, they're not very flavorful, and they cost too much for what they are. And so, this is all solved by simply having whole chickens. I'll never go out of my way to go buy chicken bones to make a stock out of. Is that clear? Do we understand? I'm gonna go ahead and glove up, and we're going to go ahead and get the chicken station ready to go. How does one go about buying a whole chicken? What do we look for in a good whole chicken? That's a really good question. Honestly, I feel like you typically can't go wrong. Even like the worst whole chicken that you buy will be good. You're typically looking for completely intact skin, and you're looking for a chicken. If you have the money, the designation that you're looking for is air chilled. When it's air chilled, it's not super saturated with water and sopping wet inside of the container. Okay? But the first step, even if it is, guys, even if you don't buy an amazing quality chicken, the best thing that you can do is to get a chicken or any piece of meat and air dry it in your fridge for at least a couple of hours or maybe even a couple of days beforehand. When you buy chicken from the supermarket, it is sopping wet. It makes a mess all over the cutting board. It is completely and fully saturated with liquid because it was either once frozen or maybe it was pumped with some sort of a solution. Air drying your meat in the fridge is a very nice way of getting rid of all that excess liquid. So I have a sheet tray, you can even do this on a plate, and I keep it in my fridge like this for a couple of hours until I'm ready to use it. Because otherwise, imagine you taking home this plastic container, right, wrapped in plastic wrap. You open up this chicken and it's just sitting there and all of this released liquid, and you put it on your cutting board and it makes a mess. And then you take this wet chicken and you put it on a hot pan and it's splashing all over the place. Jack, I don't understand the question. What about salmonella? Do I buy frozen? I do not buy frozen chicken. No. Although a lot of supermarket chicken may or may not have been frozen at one point or another. So, such is the reality with buying things in supermarkets. And then I also have the chicken feet, which I'll be using for something else later on. I'm going to go ahead and make myself a little bit of space here. So just need a moment to get that done. Okay. There we go. I think that should be okay. Excellent. And now guys, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my beautiful chicken. So, everybody, let's go ahead and identify every single chunk of the chicken here. Also, wait, how do I store chicken bones? Picking them, cleaning, washing, and freezing. So that's a good question, Shayamotos. In regards to the chicken bones themselves, all I do is I put them into like a Ziploc freezer bag. But the first thing that I do is I like freeze them on a sheet tray, and then I put them in a Ziploc freezer bag and I put them in my freezer. I don't really wash them. I don't do anything crazy like that. The only ones that I would wash would be something like chicken feet, because you know, I actually don't entirely know what this is. Otherwise, I don't typically wash my chicken at all. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with the chicken, guys. Let's get it done. Doesn't the risk of salmonella get bigger if the chicken isn't cooled enough? Jack, I don't know what you're asking. I keep it in my fridge. What happened to the head? Slay. This chicken did not come with the head. So typically this is frozen, it's typically thrown away at supermarkets. So guys, here's the legs. We have 2 legs, we have 2 wings, and then we also have 2 breasts. We're going to start by removing the easiest parts, the wings and the legs. So I'm going to show you what to do to remove the wings. We're going to take the wing and we're going to pick it up and we're going to go ahead and put the chicken breast side down. This is the back of the chicken. We're going to put it breast side down. And all I'm going to do with a really sharp knife, guys, you see this spot where the wing meets the backbone. All I'm doing is I'm making an incision all the way around the chicken itself, okay? I'm making an incision, and then you can see that we have the bone. We're never cutting through bones. All we're doing is we're always going in between the joints themselves. So we're going in between the bones here. So guys, all we have to do, we give it a little bit of pressure, and then the wing immediately pops on out. And all we have to do from here, I'm just taking my knife, and I'm sliding it under. And guys, that's already 1 wing off. 1 wing angel, Sephiroth. I don't know, I have never played a Final Fantasy game in my life. I think he's asking about frozen chickens not being thawed fully. Oh. That's always a headache. Is a sharp knife important? Yes, it is, House of Leaves. A sharp knife is always important in a kitchen setting. But the reason why a sharp knife is important isn't actually to cut through the flesh, but it's so that you can easily cut through the skin. If your knife is a little bit dull, you're going to have a really, really difficult time getting through the skin, and it can feel very rubbery. But yeah, kin vodka, I think I'm still a little confused on the question. Sorry. Okay, guys. Ooh, excuse me. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other wing. We're going to make a little incision all the way around the wing, and then we're just going to go ahead and pop it off, pop the wing off, and just slice it off. We're never cutting through bone when we're breaking down a whole chicken, guys. We're always, always, always going in between the bones. Unless you were to be doing something, let's say like Chinese roast chicken style, like a Chinese roast duck, where you're taking a cleaver and then you're going directly through the bones. But when you're typically deboning a raw chicken, you don't ever want to be cutting through a bone unless you have a very specific use that you're going for. Is that clear? I want to hear the nice yes, chef. Okay, let's go ahead and just flip the chicken back on over. Okay. We're going to go ahead and flip it over, guys, and now we're going to go ahead and deal with the legs. This one is already kind of separating, this one not so much. All we want to do is we want to make an incision where the thigh meets the rest of the chicken. So you see the skin, we're going to just make a quick little incision, nice and easy, and just begin separating the two of them, okay? Just like so. And we're going to go ahead and flip it over, guys, and we're going to take a lot of pressure, and we're going to pop out the leg from the socket that it sits in. Just give it a little bit of pressure, you'll hear that distinctive sound, okay? And now that thigh is ready to come off. You barely have to do any slicing here whatsoever. So all we're doing really, we're just going through the skin and we're peeling it. We're peeling the thigh off and we're going in between the thigh bone and where it meets the rest of the carcass, okay? There you go, nice and easy. And guys, guess what? That's one big beautiful chicken leg to come out. So, Jack, salmonella isn't really airborne. If you put your chicken on a cooling tray on the fridge and it doesn't touch anything else, nothing else is going to get contaminated with salmonella. That's why. Okay, next, let's go ahead and do the rest of it, right? So, exact same idea, guys. We just make a quick little incision. And we're going to go ahead and pop it out. Just give it a little bit of force, give it a little bit of pressure. Excellent. And then we're just going to go ahead and peel the rest of the thigh out from the carcass. There you go. That's all that there is to it, guys. And now guess what? We have the breasts remaining, and we have the backbone of the chicken as well. These are the breasts, this is the backbone, and this is the neck. But in the meantime, we got rid of the wings. We got rid of these two big, beautiful chicken legs. And now it's time to do the most difficult part, which is actually getting the breasts off. This is the part that is the most challenging. This one takes a little bit of finesse. So let's go ahead and identify what we're even looking for at this point. Guys, we have two breasts, and in the middle of it is the breastbone. Okay, so this is my left breast, and this is the right breast. For you, it would be flipped around. All I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take my knife, and I'm going to first just pick a side. You can pick whichever side you want to start with first. We're going to make an incision on either side of the breastbone. My knife is a little bit dull, so remember when I talked about needing a sharp knife? You see how much difficulty I'm having cutting the skin? My knife is a little bit duller than it should be for this. So all I'm doing, I'm not cutting through all the way, guys. I am just making an incision to either end of the chicken, okay? We're making an incision and we're cutting through, but we're not going through all the way vertically. And the reason for this is because we want to go ahead and peel off the chicken. So this chunk is the breast, and this chunk that got exposed is the tender. I do really like Anthony Bourdain, Scribbler. I do. It's one of the few people I actually take any amount of culinary inspiration from. There's not a lot of people that I take any inspiration from, but he's definitely one of the few. Okay, guys, and now all you have to do, I don't want to separate my breast from my tenders, okay? All that I'm doing, I'm just using the side of my knife to almost peel off the chicken. I'm just peeling it off. I'm peeling it off really, really slowly. And you can see the less meat that we have actually remaining on the bone, on the breastplate, the better of a job that you're actually doing here. There's very little cutting involved, guys. It's mostly just peeling. We're just peeling, peeling, peeling. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just get a much more comfortable angle for myself because going at it from that angle was admittedly a little difficult. Okay, guys, I'm just going through. Excellent. And I'm going to just go ahead and pop out the chicken now. Just slicing that entire breast off of the carcass. I have not read his cookbook though. Okay, guys, and there you go. That's one beautiful chicken breast now removed from the rest of the carcass. The only thing that we have left to actually clean up on this thing is we have a little bit of the joint, okay, that's actually left over. from where we took off the wing. So I'm just going to go ahead and just quickly trim that off, and we have no more use for it. Okay, and there you go, guys. One big beautiful breast. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with the other side of the chicken. My finger is clean. I just want to get some hair off of my face. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same with the other side, guys. We make an incision on either side, cutting all the way through to the skin, but we're not cutting all the way through down to the flesh. Okay, and then we're making an almost L-shaped cut out. Excellent. And then we're just going to go ahead and basically peel. And that sound, by the way, is the pressure cooker. So it's built up pressure now. We're going to just go ahead and slowly but surely peel the chicken. You can even just use your thumb sometimes. Just get in there, guys. Get in there and peel the meat from the carcass. You're just naturally following the guidelines. You're never cutting through bone or anything. Okay? And then you should be left with this. We need to continue just scraping off the meat. Okay? Wonderful. We're almost done. I still have a little bit of meat attached to this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and take my knife, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off the rest of this breast. How does one select a quality whole chicken? So that's a really good question. It's one that's actually a bit of a complicated answer. Generally speaking, the better your budget, the better the quality of the chicken that you're actually going to get. Okay, and that's why, I'm talking about air-chilled chicken specifically. Okay, air-chilled chickens are typically organic in a supermarket. They cost twice or maybe 3 times as much as other kinds of chickens. My answer depends on your budget. The general rule of thumb that you're really looking for, though, is you're looking for a chicken that has the skin intact. The feet intact is also nice to then be able to make a stock out of, and you're looking to make sure that it's not dripping wet. If it's dripping wet, it's typically been frozen before, or maybe it's been sitting out for a while. Do I cut the chicken oyster? The chicken oyster is already on my thighs, Jack. It's already on the thighs. So kitten vodka, I'm glad. Oh, kitten vodka. I know you from Twitter, don't I? That's right. I've seen your Twitter account, I believe. You're the one with that tweet. I know, never mind, I understand now. It all makes sense. Okay, guys, guess what? We've officially broken down an entire chicken. We have the carcass, and this is the beauty of a whole chicken. It's not about the schmeat. Guys, it's about the bones. Is everybody listening? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef. Okay? It's about the bones. Why is it about the bones? Because out of this is how you make a homemade chicken stock. Guys, I don't want you going out of your way to buy pre-chopped chicken bones to make a stock with. By having a whole chicken, you constantly have a supply of chicken bones and chicken pieces with which to make a beautiful stock. So, I also have some lovely chicken feet, which will be made into the chicken stock. I have some wings, and then I have 2 gorgeous chicken breasts as well, and I'm going to show you exactly how we prepare them. These are the chicken tenders. They're actually falling apart a little bit. Sometimes they stay more intact, sometimes they don't. These are the chicken tenders, guys. We'll also be cooking those up today. Can I make the feet do a little dance? I will consider it. Just for you, I will consider it. I'm going to just go ahead and feel around. I got a little bit of the wishbone, so I'm just going to go ahead and try my best to trim that off. And I'm just feeling around. You don't want any cartilage. You don't want any bones in this. It's just supposed to be a nice, clean chicken breast, guys, okay? And I'm trying to keep the skin intact the best that I can. I do wish my knife was a little bit sharper, so I might be due for resharpening sometime soon. Okay, lovely. Guys, that's it. We broke down a whole chicken. The only thing that we're going to do really quickly. Also, Scrublo, thank you so much for the sub. I'm going to show you how to break down a chicken leg, a full chicken leg, into the drum and the thigh. So guys, all you need to do, I want you to look really carefully. Do you see this line? Do you see this fat line running down this way? All you need to do is just follow that fat line and just go all the way through. And that way, that's it. That's all that you need to do, guys. You have a beautiful leg and a beautiful thigh. Or a beautiful drum and a thigh, excuse me. So just open up that skin. Take a look, guys, one more time. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and look at that line. We're going to go ahead and look at that fat line. And we're going to go ahead and make an incision, cut all the way through. No, kitten vodka, it was a hilarious tweet. It was so good. It was so good. It's not a bad first impression at all. It was a bold one, is what that was. And I'm not talking about it any further. Okay, that's it. We have the entire chicken broken up. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and quickly wash off my knife and clean off my station. Does anybody have any questions for me while I do so? But guys, again, I want you all, I'm talking about you, I'm talking to you. I want you all to get into the habit of working with whole chickens. Working with whole chickens, it's a lot cheaper, and you get that incredible byproduct in the form of the chicken bones and in the form of all those different scraps with which to make a really, really lovely chicken stock. Okay? No, Jack, it's okay. Jack, this is not necessary. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just wash off my knife because we'll be needing it a little bit. So just take a second. Making gochujang pork dumplings, that sounds lovely. That sounds really, really delicious. Oh, I love mandu. I love like kimchi mandu. It's one of my favorite types of like dumplings known to mankind. It's really, really delicious. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly wash this off. Please bear with me as I get this done. And then we'll be moving on to everything else that we actually need for today, guys. We have to go ahead and make the guacamole. We have to season the chicken. We have to make the seasoning for the chicken. And I'll talk to you about all of my theory on that. Is everybody watching? Is everybody paying attention? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching. Please and thank you. I'm just taking a second to clean off and sanitize my knife because it was, of course, dealing with some raw chicken. And I want to use it later on in the stream. Okay, beautiful. That's all done. Excellent. And just give that a little wipe off. Good. I'm glad that everybody's coming through today. Nice, nice, nice. So, guys, all that we've done today, we're doing a little recap session right now, okay? Today, we're doing a really delicious chicken bowl with black beans and homemade guacamole as well as some vegetables. At the moment, my black beans are sitting in the pressure cooker alongside some sazon, some garlic, some onion, and some bay leaves. And we also just broke down a whole chicken. And I'm going to just be seasoning up the breast really quickly. I'm gonna get that done and I'll walk you through that as well. I was just quickly wiping off and washing my knife. And I'm going to go ahead and throw my dirty cutting board into the dishwasher because we have no more use for it. Lovely. Just cleaning up my station while I have a little chance to do so. Awesome. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at my chicken one more time. This is a whole broken down chicken. So we have the carcass, we have the legs, we have the thighs, we have the wings, and then of course we have the breast and tenders. Also, I don't think I thoroughly washed my hands enough. Uh-oh. And I touched my hair with those hands too. Well, that's a problem for later. Don't have to think about it at the moment. Okay, guys, so the only thing that we really need to do right now is we need to go ahead and move some of the chicken away, and we're going to do a little something called dry brining. For today, the only pieces that I actually will end up needing are going to be the legs, it's only going to be the breasts and the tenders. Guys, I'm misspeaking a lot today. I'm a little messy today. I apologize. We're only going to need the breasts and we're only going to need the tenders. I'm going to show you how to season that up right now. So, first thing I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of the rest of the chicken pieces. This I will be doing something else with later on, okay? So just go ahead and move all of that aside. We have no more use for it, at the moment at least. Okay, 2 breasts and then 2 tenders as well. So guys, we're going to be doing a little something called dry brining. What is the process of dry brining? It's really, really simple. All that you're doing is you're seasoning something like a piece of meat with salt in advance. And by seasoning it with salt in advance, you're doing a couple of things. Number 1, the salt permeates and fully seasons the chicken through inside out. The second thing that it does is it encourages moisture retention. And now this might be a little bit counterintuitive for some of you that might not cook a little bit too often. You might be like, how does this actually make a chicken juicier? How does this make it retain more moisture if the salt draws out moisture? It's a great question. Also, audiomorphy, that's not what voodoo is. There's a very long discussion to be had there about why what you said is mildly problematic, but that is a misuse of the word voodoo. So, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to take this chicken and we're going to go ahead and generously season this with some kosher salt. I'm using kosher salt because it picks up really, really nicely and easily in my hands. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, pick it up, and I'm going to go ahead and season it. Same exact thing with my tenders. And we're going to flip it over and season it once more. So guys, the salt, it permeates the chicken. It fully seasons it through inside out. But what it does is it allows you to have a much juicier piece of chicken at the end of the day. It holds onto more of its moisture. Okay? So this is something that if you're cooking a chicken breast, if you're cooking any sort of like meat that you're cooking it like a steak, dry brining it at least 30 minutes, but ideally a couple of hours beforehand. It does slightly dry out the exterior. You are correct in that, Takash. But it's not because it creates a crust. That part is not actually true. It's not because it creates a crust. It's purely, I forgot what it actually has to do with increasing moisture retention. But you are correct. It does help in the creation of a crust. You're on the right idea, but this is just like a highly debated topic in food. A dry crust on like a piece of meat doesn't actually make it more difficult for moisture to escape. Okay guys, all I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put this into my fridge. I want you to dry brine things maybe like at least 30 minutes, but ideally like 2 hours in advance. You do this 2 hours in advance and you're going to have a very beautiful, juicy, seasoned piece of chicken. Is that clear? I'm gonna have a nice resounding yes, chef. Please and thank you. Okay, but yeah, Takash, that is a slight misconception that you have. But you're on the right path. You will still come to like the correct conclusion at the end of the day. Lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and get my cutting board set up yet again. I'm going to go ahead and just grab a couple of paper towels. And I'm going to get them nice and moist so that it sticks to my cutting board. Okay. Excellent. Okay guys, let's go ahead and move on to everything else that we need to do today. For today, we need to go ahead and do all of the prep work for the guacamole. We also need to go ahead and shred up a bunch of cabbage, and we need to go ahead and slice up some radishes as well. So, I got my cutting board out. I have it ready to go. Let's figure out which step we want to do first. And the reason we have a nice wet paper towel is so that it doesn't slide around very much. If your cutting board has like rubber feet on it, then you don't need to do this. But a wet paper towel keeps cutting boards nice, flat, and secure. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I have a bunch of vegetables behind me. I have a bunch of produce. Let's start thinking about how we want to work with it. I have here an entire head of cabbage. I do not need an entire head of cabbage. Also, hello to Ghoul Angel. Welcome on in. Hello, hello. It's lovely to have you. So guys, I don't need this entire head of cabbage for today. I'm only going to use a quarter of it. But what I'm doing today, everybody, is home cooking. This is all home food. These are all made from the things that I've already had in my fridge that I wanted to get rid of. And I've had to do a little bit of shopping to, make up for some of the things I didn't have. So all I'm going to do, I only need a quarter head of cabbage or so, because the more that you slice something, the more that you process something, the quicker it ends up spoiling. And cabbage is no exception to this rule. If I had this entire head of cabbage and I pre-sliced it and I kept it in my fridge, in 2-3 days time, that raw naked cabbage would end up turning a little bit brown. It would be a little bit brown and it would be a little bit dried out as well. So that's why I like to distinguish between something called destructive prep and non-destructive prep. So I will never slice cabbage in advance. So I'm only slicing as much as I need for today. But if I was making something like a coleslaw or like a salad where it's like drenched in a bunch of vinegar or like lime juice or something, then it would be totally okay to pre-slice it. But in general, that's why I don't buy pre-sliced salad mixes. That's why I don't buy, pre-chopped onions, okay? Because they do go bad sooner as a result. So all I'm going to do, guys, does that make sense? Does everybody follow? I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. All I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go right through the core of the cabbage. And I'm going to slice it in half, like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this into one beautiful quarter of cabbage. How long can frozen cabbage keep? I have never frozen a cabbage in my life, so I actually don't think I know how to answer your question. I apologize. I don't know why you would freeze a cabbage, because a cabbage does actually have quite a bit of shelf life. Cabbage has a substantial shelf life in the fridge. So I don't know. Do you freeze cabbage, Audio Murphy? Okay guys, and so all we're going to do, we're going to keep the core of the cabbage intact, because this is what's holding up all of those different leaves together. Okay? In that case, Audio Murphy, I would just make like a cabbage soup or something maybe. But we want to keep this core, so we don't want to slice this off. If we slice this off, it's going to go ahead and spill all over the place. So let's make sure that we have a nice big bowl to put the sliced cabbage on. And I want nice thin slices. So think of the kind of cabbage that you get alongside some like tonkatsu, right? Like the really, really thinly sliced cabbage. That's kind of what I'm going for today. If you have a mandolin, that would also be a nice tool. Otherwise, a nice sharp knife. And guys, we slice it. We don't chop it. And the reason why we don't chop it is because if you chop it, your knife, look what happened. It immediately went out, cleaved it, and escaped it. By slicing it like this and using the full length of your knife, the knife doesn't actually slip out. If you go with a complete straight motion, like so, it'll just cleave out, okay? So we slice it. We slice things. We don't chop things. Is that clear? Can I please get a yes, chef? We're slicing. We're slicing. We're slicing, okay? Beautiful. Nice, thin cabbage. That's what I'm looking for today, because I'm not going to do any additional processing to this cabbage. I want it to stay nice and tender. If we cut this cabbage too thick like these pieces, it's going to be a little bit too difficult to chew, okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and clean off my cutting board periodically, because we don't want the cutting board to get a little too messy or too crowded, okay? And we're just going to keep on going through and slicing and slicing and slicing my cabbage nice and thin. And then at some point, when the cabbage gets really, really thick like so, all I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little rotation. I'm going to flip it over on this side, or you can even do this side, it doesn't really matter. We're going to now slice it the other way around. Same exact idea, guys. Nice, thin, 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 all the way through. Okay, but we're never cutting into the core of the cabbage. The core is a little bit too hard, it's a little too toothsome. But in the cutting stage, it is really, really functional in that it holds the rest of the cabbage together. Okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and take all of the sliced up cabbage, beautiful, and put that into my bowl. Okay. And we'll just go ahead and proceed with the rest of it. Just get it done, get it all out of the way. Does anybody have any questions about this step of the process? And now we can do a little bit of this as well. We don't want to waste any of the core, of course, but the closer that you get to the center of the cabbage, the more tough it ends up being. So this is where about I would stop. And now let's go ahead and scoop it up. Okay. So guys, I actually don't need to do anything else for this cabbage today. Roughly a quarter head of cabbage in its raw form like this. I think that's going to be anywhere from like 1.5 to 2 portions for the bowls that I'm doing. Okay, I'm not going to be doing any rice. I just want this to kind of be the base of it. If I was making a salad, I would salt this in advance. When you salt the cabbage, you end up wilting it. Don't season this cabbage at all. If you were to season, if you put any salt or any acid, it would then release all of its liquid. If your intention is to make a salad, then salt it. If your intention is to make a coleslaw, then salt it. If your intention is a raw garnish of freshly sliced cabbage, do not salt it. Do not put any acid. Don't do anything else to it. You are completely done with it at this stage. Can I please get a yes, chef? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that behind me, and I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of that cabbage into the fridge because I have no more use for it today. Whoa! I dropped an entire head of cabbage onto my floor. My fault. That's my bad. I should have just gotten a different plate. It's fine. It's fine. 5 seconds or so. I almost dropped the plate again, but that's fine. That's chill. I'm not upset about it. I'm a little bit upset. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and move on with some of the rest of the prep work that we need to get done for today. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and let's do some of the radishes as well. Radishes, same exact idea. We're not going to do anything else with the radishes today besides slice them really, really beautifully and simply. If you want to get nice, beautiful, thin slices, you can also just use a mandolin instead of using a knife. Okay, next rule. You want to have tools that are sized to the thing that you're cutting. You might be asking me, oh, Daramgar, you already have your chef's knife out. Why don't you just slice the radishes with a chef's knife? Well, let me show you something right now. Let me just show you something. Take a nice small radish with such a big knife. Look how clunky this motion is. You want to have a petty knife for something like cherry tomatoes, for something like radishes, because you don't need that much length. You don't need all of the surface of the knife, okay? So having something that's significantly shorter is going to just be a lot more elegant of a process. You're going to hate slicing radishes, okay, if you're using a big chef's knife like so. So having tools that fit the size of what you're doing, is it necessary? No, but it does make the process a lot more fun and easy. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to start by just trimming off the heads and the tails of each of my radishes. I have no use for them at the moment, although you can eat them just fine. The whole radish is edible. Okay, and all I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and slice these bad boys in half. The reason why I'm slicing them in half is because if I wanted to get like circular pieces of radishes, slicing this will be really, really annoying, because look at the way that it rolls around. But by cutting it in half, it stays nice and flat on the cutting board. If you had a mandolin and you can just easily shave off little thin pieces, then you can keep the radish whole. Otherwise, for me in a home setting, I like to just cut them in half so that they stay nice and stable. So that's all I'm doing with each radish, guys. I'm taking it and I'm cutting it in half. Taking it, I'm cutting it in half. And now, for my bowl, I'm looking for really, really, really thinly sliced radishes. You can go as thin or as thick as you would like, but I'm looking for like that papery thin radish. It's completely up to you though, and how you want to actually construct your own bowl. I just like having a thin radish again because then it contributes its crunchiness without being too overwhelmingly toothsome in the mouth. Okay, so all I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to slice base to tip, using as minimal vertical force as possible. I didn't cut all the way through. That's my apologies. Just trying to get the idea of how much force I should be using. I do love radishes. These aren't very good radishes though. They're not very like sweet or anything. These kind of just have no flavor. Okay, there we go, guys. And now we can see we have this beautiful little fan of radishes. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. Nice and easy. And let's just go ahead and keep going through all of the radishes. Does anybody have any questions about this process? Paper thin, that's what I'm going for. I do believe that they were audio movie. I do believe so. Yeah, not the best radishes in the world, but it'll do for today. I love having my radishes be just really, really nice and thin like this though. What does a good radish taste like? A good radish, I mean, there's no such thing as a bad radish. It just depends on what you're looking for. With these baby radishes, you're looking for a very slight amount of spiciness. You're looking for a very delicious vegetalness. And you're looking for a little bit of sweetness as well. Okay? Typically though, a sign of a good baby radish, depending on like your preference, is for it to be sweet. Okay? There you go. And let's just keep moving on. Nice. Beautifully sliced through. Just taking your time, guys, being nice and patient. These guys I cut a little bit too thick. Okay, goodbye, Jack. Thank you for stopping by. Lovely to have you as always. Okay, and we're almost done with our radish prep. Thank you, County J. Bach. I appreciate it. Okay, guys, and that's it. That's all the prep work that we needed to do for the radishes. Again, you can go as thin or as thick as you would like on these. You can even do whole chunks of radishes. It's up to you how you want to be constructing your bowl. Okay, it's entirely within your field of control. It's up to you. Is that clear? Can I please get a yes, chef? Okay, and I'm going to just take these radishes and I'm going to go ahead and scoop them off. Lovely. And I'm going to go ahead and set these bad boys behind me because we have no more use for them at the moment. Okay, let's go ahead and continue to think about everything else that we need. Guys, I have a huge piece of advice, by the way. When it comes to cooking chicken, we're going to get to it. We're not going to do the chicken immediately. That might be one of the last things that we do. But when it comes to cooking chicken, when I want to get a heavily seared piece of chicken, when I want to get some color on it, and I don't mean just like, you braising it. I mean like heavily color the piece of chicken. I never put any spices in except until the end. I like to sear my chicken exclusively with salt, and there's a reason for this. If I add the spices in the beginning, the chicken doesn't actually brown. The only thing that browns is the layer of spices that you put on the outside. And so what I really, really like doing is just with the salt itself, right? I first sear the chicken, and then I cover it with the spices, and then I cook it again. And that way I get like a double crust effect. I get the actual crust of browned meat, and then I get the properly, beautifully cooked spices without it being burnt. When you add spices into the beginning of a process and you do a high heat on it, those spices are just going to burn and turn really, really bitter and acrid. And so I just like doing my, two-step cooking process. And so I'll be able to show that off in a little bit. And that way we get to have a really, really good crust, really good flavor developed without having a burnt piece of chicken. Or the burnt spice, excuse me. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the prep that we need to do for the guacamole itself. So guys, I have here a couple of serranos. You can use any kind of chili that you would like. You can even omit this entirely. Guacamole, contrary to popular belief, actually has some room to play around with. Some people add tomatoes, some people do not. Some people add chili, some people do not. I'm going to be starting with, you know what? I don't even think I need like 2 serranos. I think I'm only going to need 1 serrano for today. You can even use like a jalapeno, you can use an arbol, you can use a Thai bird's eye chili. Use whatever spicy chili that you have available to you. And so, to get started, all I'm going to do is I'm going to give the molcajete a little bit of help by first just chunking up the serrano pepper, okay? I'm going to just chunk it up, chunk it up, chunk it up, chunk it up. And we're going to start with 1 whole serrano. If I feel like it needs more, we can always add more later on, but the serrano, seeds and all, I think is going to add in plenty of heat. Okay, so 1 serrano chili, lovely. I'm going to go ahead and just add that in to this little container that I have here dedicated for it. And now guys, we're going to go ahead and get a couple of garlic cloves. Garlic, especially in a raw form, is pretty pungent. Okay, but we're going to do something with it to actually get it to be less pungent, which I'm really excited to talk about. If you process and you mince and you chop garlic with something acidic, you actually mitigate the production of that really, really pungent compound, allicin. Okay, so what we're going to be doing to get more garlic flavor into the guacamole without it being overpoweringly garlicky, we're going to be processing the garlic with some lime juice in the beginning. So guys, as always, all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be peeling this garlic over a nice bowl. Just like so, just so that I don't get any of the papery skin. And we're only going to need, like 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. If you're not doing the lime juice processing method, then you have to use less garlic. But because I'm using the lime juice, I'm able to actually use more, okay? So that's the beauty of processing it with the lime juice. And all I'm going to do, guys, once again, I'm just going to give this thing a little tap, just to be able to then take off the skin. And we don't really have to chop up the garlic or anything. I'm just peeling off the skin, and we're going to do that with every single garlic clove. Does anybody have any questions? Also, Radiohead, thank you for stopping by. It's lovely to have you. Every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Don't forget. Also, join the Discord if you haven't already done so, guys. ! Discord in chat if you want to be a part of the community. It's always lovely to have all of you. So guys, we're just pressing down all the garlic cloves. These are the garlic cloves that we need for the guacamole. We're getting rid of the skins because they're papery and unpleasant, and we of course don't want to be eating that. Let's go ahead and trim off the butts because they're dried off and not ready to eat either. There you go. Lovely. So I'm using 3 garlic cloves, specifically because I'm using my lime juice method for today. And if you're not using the lime juice method, just use like 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, okay? Okay, next, what do we actually need to process? What else do we need to end up prepping for today? We're going to go ahead and give this onion a little bit of help as well for the molcajete. So all I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to just give this a small to medium dice, okay? I'm just fanning out the onion, my red onion here. I have a quarter of a red onion. I'm fanning it out, and then I'm just doing a medium dice. And the rest of it is going to be taken care of by the molcajete, but I found it's just a lot nicer to have already small pieces going into the molcajete. Okay? Nice and easy. There you go. Trim it off. Lovely. And you can use any kind of onion that you would like. You can use a white onion. You can use a red onion, which is what I have here. It really doesn't matter. Just use what you actually have available to you at home. And I'm going to go ahead and scoop it off. My cutting board. We have no more use for this. It's already been prepped and ready to go. And I'm just going to go ahead and transfer this over to a little bowl. And this is why I love having a bench scraper at home, guys. It just makes the process of cleaning up a cutting board so much easier. It makes it so much simpler. Okay, there you go. That's a quarter of a red onion. We might not even end up using all of it. It might be a little too aggressive. These are my garlic cloves and my serrano. That's my onion. Okay, guys, next step is going to be getting some of the lime juice. So, I want to do my lime juice. Is everybody paying attention? I want to do my lime juice in 2 additions. Remember, in cooking, you can always add more, but it's really, really difficult to take something away. So I want to start the actual guacamole with a little bit of lime juice, okay, because I want it to actually work into the garlic. But then I'm going to save the rest of the lime juice to then finish the guacamole with, because limes are incredibly variable in their acidity. Sometimes they're more acidic, sometimes they're less acidic. So half a lime's worth of juice is going to go into this, and then the rest of it is just going to be added later on instead. So sometimes, again, they're really, really acidic, sometimes they're not so acidic, so you just have to kind of go with the seasons. So guys, all I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take my lime, and I have a nice little citrus juicer here. I'm going to slice it in half like so. And I'm going to get 2 limes worth of juice, and we'll see how much we actually end up needing for today, okay? That's 2 limes. And the way that you juice a lime using a citrus juicer, guys, you put it flesh side down. Not flesh side up, flesh side down. And give it a nice big squeeze. Excellent. There we go, a nice big squeeze. And we're going to pour this lime juice directly in with the garlic and the chilies, because these are all going to be added in at the same time. Give that another big squeeze. Excellent. Okay? And let's go ahead and get rid of this little lime. We have no use for it. And now let's move on with the rest of the limes, which we'll put into a separate container. I want you to separate it. Can I please get a yes, chef, from everybody watching? I want you to keep that lime juice nice and separate. And let's go ahead and give that a nice big squeeze. There you go. Lovely. And look at that. That is the beauty of a citrus juicer. You get so much better yield out of it. Okay, than by using your hands. And then also you don't get any of like that acidic lemon juice or lime juice on your hands. And I have eczema, so that's really, really difficult for me. Okay. And this is a tabletop one, so it's even better. So I don't have to like hold this in my hands. In fact, I can already tell you right now that that's going to be plenty of lime juice for today. Look how much we're getting out of this thing. That was a juicy lime. Also, hello to Dr. Slowbro. Welcome on in. Hello, hello. It's good to have you. And then this lime, guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set it aside. We're going to just use it later on. For whatever purpose we may have for it. We might just use it as a garnish on top of the bowl itself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just throw this behind me because we have no use for this at the moment either. Okay, that is actually the majority of the prep for the guacamole. The last step is going to be working on the cilantro, guys. So let's go ahead and get some of that prep done now. So I have some cilantro. This is not the freshest cilantro in the world. Some of the leaves are already turning brown. So all that I want to do, guys, I want to go through this. I want to get rid of any old, like, decaying cilantro that I have here, right? Like, this is no good. We're just going to clean this up a little bit, and then we're going to take the fresh ones off the stems, okay? So fresh cilantro, take it off the stems because they can be a little bit fibrous. You can't have a guacamole without cilantro. Okay, it is absolutely essential. Yeah, that leaf is a little bit off. It's a little decaying. Yeah, not the best quality cilantro, guys. Ooh, we might actually not have that much cilantro for today. But we'll make do. Country girls make do. Okay? Not the freshest, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy a completely new bundle of cilantro just because this isn't the best. It's not so spoiled that you can't eat it. We just have to process it a little bit. Okay? So don't be afraid to get in there. If you have to, just use some gloves if you don't like that texture of like the, you know, very soft, mushy cilantro. Thoughts on those that say cilantro tastes like soap? I have a replacement for you, Ghoul Angel. It's called culantro. C-U-L-A-N-T-R-O. And in that case, that is a cilantro that you can basically cook with that tastes really, really similar, although not identical. And in a raw application, I would just sub it with parsley. Parsley doesn't taste anything like cilantro at all, but it basically has the same idea that it's going for. It has a similar vibe. So yeah, those that say cilantro tastes like soap, only you I will probably allow to make a cilantro substitution in something like a guacamole. Normally I say, yeah, you can use whatever fresh herbs that you want, but cilantro is so essential to the context of Mexican cooking that unless you absolutely have to, I would not swap this out with anything else in a guacamole. Okay? So I'm just going ahead and I'm getting rid of all of the leaves that look somewhat decent. These all seem kind of okay. Do I ever have cooking content for YouTube? Slippy, I have an answer for you. And my answer is no, unless I specifically recorded it for YouTube. The reason why I never want to edit down my cooking stream specifically is because I pride myself on being able to present things in a live setting for hours at a time. I don't have any downtime. I don't have any dead time. And so I never want to edit down my cooking streams. If I make YouTube content in the future, which might be unlikely because my passion has always been in a live setting, right? Because I'm a Smash commentator, I'm a Braholic commentator, I used to do stand-up. It would be in a pre-recorded setting. But what I would never do, I don't think I would ever edit down my Twitch VODs. Okay, because I feel like this content is intended to be consumed in a live setting. Maybe a dumb question. It's no such thing as a dumb question, by the way. If a dish already has cilantro, are there things you can introduce to mitigate that soapy taste? I actually don't know. Is there anything specifically to counteract that soapy taste? I have no clue whatsoever. You can just add more stuff and have more pungent things to really counteract that, but things that specifically counter the soapiness of cilantro, I don't think so off the top of my head. So guys, all I'm going to do, I'm going to take the cilantro. So really quickly, I have a question for chat. Wake up. How many of you have heard somebody, especially with basil, with cilantro, say, never chop your cilantro, never slice it, only tear it apart in your hands? Have you guys ever heard that before? Has somebody ever said that to you? No? Well, that's okay. I'm hoping for a yes. Because I just want to debunk a misconception. Okay, fine. This is a very old school Italian thing, or kind of like a European cooking thing. They say that by cutting herbs, by chopping them, that you're crushing them and you're ruining them, and that you should only tear them with your hands. So they're half correct, but it is a misconception at the end of the day. So I agree. We never chop herbs. We'll never do a vertical motion. Because when you do a vertical motion, you crush it, and you crush more cells, and you expose the chlorophyll, and then all the flavor immediately oxidizes and it's gone. But here's the thing. By doing this, when they say, oh, just rip them, you're also crushing the cells. You're also crushing the cells. It's complete nonsense. So let me show you something, guys. We don't chop herbs. We slice them. We take a nice, beautiful, sharp knife, or rather, this one's a little bit sharper, and we're going to use the full length of the knife. We don't use just this small section to chop, 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 chop. We slice it. So here's what we do, guys. We take the herbs. We bundle it up in our hands. Okay? Heating cilantro weakens its taste, but we're not heating any cilantro. Also, hello to Goot. Welcome on in. So guys, take a look. Take a look. This is how you properly slice herbs. You use the full length of your knife with minimal vertical force. There is a difference between slicing and chopping. We never chop in this household. So guys, take a look. Take a look. Just a nice, long, beautiful slice. Nice and thin, all the way through. All the way through. I'm barely touching the cilantro, guys. I'm barely touching it. Barely touching it. I'm just going all the way through. All the way through. And guys, you can see that the bottom of the cutting board, it's not turning wet. It was already a little wet beforehand from the onion. The herbs, they're not turning brown. They're not turning sticky. All that I'm doing, guys, I'm just going through this and I'm gently, 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 gently processing it. Okay? 80s TV show vibes? Thank you. I'm trying to run a cooking show, Dashi. How'd you find the stream? So guys, take a look. Take a look. My herbs, they're not sticking to the cutting board. If you chopped it like this, brrr, all the way through, it would stick to the cutting board because it released a bunch of liquid as you crush the cells. But look how finely and look how gently we slice the herbs. So people say that you should never slice herbs, have no idea what they're talking about. But people that tell you that it's okay to chop herbs also don't know what they're talking about. Can I please get a yes, chef? No chopped allowed? School of Rock? Fun fact, I was on Chop Junior. So that's who 8 years ago, when I was 13 years old. I'm 21. Okay. So, all I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take all of my cilantro, now beautifully sliced. I'm going to go ahead and put it into this little bowl. What season? I don't know if I want to reveal it. There's also me before transition. So, I mean, I talk about it. Season 2, episode 5. Season 2, episode 5, if you'd like. And now, I'm trying to run the best cooking show on Twitch. But yeah, Dashi, how'd you find the cooking show? Okay guys, guess what? We have done all of the prep work that we need for the guacamole aside from the actual avocados themselves. We'll do that part last actually. So guys, take a look. This is my garlic and serrano with half a lime's worth of juice. We separate the two juices because guess what? The acidity of your lime is incredibly variable. There's going to be days where it's very acidic and there's days where it's completely bland. So we have some of the lime in here. Why? We're going to process the garlic with the lime juice and it's going to prevent it from becoming too pungent. When you chop and mince garlic with something acidic, it really reduces and mitigates the amount of allicin that which is produced. So we get to have 3 big garlic cloves for this amount of guacamole, but I promise you, if you process it with the lime juice, it's not going to be pungent. We have a quarter of a red onion, we might not use all of it, and then we have some cilantro as well. Okay, the last step, guys, I'm going to go ahead and quickly prep the avocado. That sound is telling us what happened. The beans have finished cooking. My black beans in the pressure cooker. We're going to go ahead and prep the avocado. So guys, you need 3 things to prep an avocado, and I'm going to show you. This is my favorite way of prepping an avocado. You need a butter knife, you need a sharp knife, or I might just use this one instead actually, and you need a nice big spoon, and I'm going to show you exactly why. Okay? So let's go ahead and just get a bowl for this to go ahead and catch it. Let's show you why. So first of all, guys, when it comes to buying an avocado at the grocery store, here's the thing that you're looking for. You need a balance. Okay, please get a yes chef from everybody watching. You're looking for a very specific balance. You don't want it to be too firm and you don't want it to be too soft. And how do we actually tell to get this balance, and what happens if you get either of them? If it's too soft, if it's over-ripened, the inside of it is going to taste kind of unpleasant, it's going to be completely mushy, and the outside skin is going to seem more brown than green. This isn't actually the freshest avocado. Okay, if it's rock hard, it's like solid, dark green all the way through, and it's rock hard, it's underripe. It's going to be fibrous and almost crunchy, very unpleasant. So what you're looking for is a texture that is somewhere in the middle of the two, but I don't want you to go to your supermarkets and start squishing the avocado. All I want you to do, look at the outside of the skin. You're not looking for it to be dark brown, and if it's rock solid, you're just going to keep it in your fridge for a few days until it's ripe. And you're looking for this part to not be brown. You're looking for like a nice light green. Nice dark green, but you're not looking for this part to be dark. So that's how you tell for an avocado. I don't want you to start smushing the avocado to death. So guys, here's all we gotta do. We're going to hold Mr. Avocado in our hands, okay? And we're just going to go ahead and cut down to the pit. And then all we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go ahead and rotate the avocado around the knife itself, okay? And then twist it off, and guess what? Look at that avocado. Oh, look at that picturesque avocado. That, dare I say, might even be a thumbnail for the VOD, right? Look at that avocado. How do I make carbonara dashi? That's a really good question. It's a bit longer of a question than I think I can answer at the moment, because I also don't make carbonara at home because I don't really consider it home food. Okay guys, how do we get the pit of it out? Take your nice sharp knife, and you're going to go ahead and just give this a nice little tap, and then you're going to twist it. Okay, and then you're going to use your thumb. Dashi, the explanation of how to make a carbonara, it's going to take a while. And so we have to move through the guacamole. But yes, I've been cooking for my whole life, Dashi. Okay, so guys, take a look. Take a look. Here's what I want you to do. The ingredients only for a carbonara, it's what? Like guanciale, egg yolk, pecorino or parmesan. Traditionally it's just pecorino, black pepper, and then some people do like a bucatini, some people do a rigatoni, right? Something like that. Okay guys, so here's all you're going to do. This is why I want you to take a butter knife. Don't use your sharp knife. We're going to take this butter knife and we're going to go ahead and just slice the avocado while we're holding it. If we use a sharp knife, it's going to really easily cut through the skin. But by using a butter knife, even if it accidentally cuts through the skin, like look what happened. It cut through the skin. I didn't end up stabbing myself. Okay? And so this we're just going to roughly chunk it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. And all that we have to do, guys, I'm actually just going to go ahead and do the other avocado first. So again, use a dull butter knife for this. I do know how to cook. I've been cooking for my whole life. I would consider myself one of the best home chefs alive because I want to teach people what it means to really cook at home. Okay, so guys, butter knife, and then we move on to the spoon stage. And guess what? Look at what happens. Look at what happens. All of these lovely chunks of avocado just coming out. There you go. All in one go. There you go. That's it. That's all that it takes. And we're going to go ahead and just do the same thing to this other half. Just scoop it up, get it done. There you go. Nice and easy, guys. Wasn't that easy? And we're going to be mashing it up. We're going to be making a really beautiful guacamole. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with my second avocado. Right? Nice and easy. So guys, same thing. We're looking for a nice dark green. We're not looking for it to be brown on the outside. We're going to take our sharp knife and we're going to go ahead and rotate it, keeping our knife nice and steady all the way through. There you go. And then we're just going to go ahead and twist off the top. Also, hello, Natalie. Thank you so much for the sub. And we're going to go ahead and give the pit a little tap. And we're going to go ahead and just twist. Ooh, that one not so successful, actually. I'm actually going to need a slightly bigger knife for this one, I think. This one isn't actually twisting off that well today, but we got it. We finally got it. This one might be slightly underripe, now that I'm looking at it. Nope, it's fine. It's fine. That's perfect. Okay, guys, and all I'm going to do, go ahead and... actually, I do think this one is underripe. Uh-oh. What do I do? Do I just put it in my fridge? Do I just put it back in my fridge? Yeah, I don't think... Look how much force I just gave it, and it didn't actually go through. Okay, this avocado, we're going to actually have to not use for today's guacamole, which is a little bit unfortunate. I'm just going to go ahead and put this back in my fridge and use it for a couple of days. Use it in a couple of days, excuse me. This is a little bit tragic. I was not anticipating this, but I'm not going to force this avocado to become a guacamole. It's not ready to. So all I'm going to do... No, do not microwave it. I see that trick. Guys, you don't need lemon juice. A little bit of plastic wrap. You can just use lemon juice. Plastic wrap, and you're going to have this face down on the plate. The plastic wrap is going to prevent it from being exposed to any oxygen whatsoever. Do not microwave it. People say, oh, you can microwave it, you can put it in the oven. Do not. Don't you dare. I will get you if you do that. Okay, so that kind of sucks. I'm gonna have less guacamole than I was initially intending. But you know what, guys? Life happens. Life happens sometimes. Okay? So I'm just gonna put this back in my fridge and I'll just use this in a couple of days. That's all. That's all it's gonna go down. Okay, everybody, guess what? Hello to Shinji. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I do use it, Dashi. I do use it's. Okay. So let's go ahead and begin making the guacamole. The only thing I'm going to do, because this is a carbon steel knife, I'm going to go ahead and quickly wash it off. I'm going to wash it off, I'm going to get everything off of it, and I'm going to dry it off nice and thoroughly. Because again, it's a carbon steel knife, it will just end up rusting if I leave it wet. I have a lot of carbon steel stuff. I do. I love carbon steel. It's one of my favorite knife materials. And the reason why I like carbon steel is because it holds onto an edge significantly better than stainless steel. I haven't gotten this knife sharpened a single time since I bought it, and I've had it for months, and I use this all the time. I love my carbon steel knife. But it's not a beginner knife because you have to always, dry it off and stuff. Yeah, I could have also just put the pit back inside, right? That could have also just been fine. Okay, I'm just drying it off. Beautiful. You are correct. That would have been a little bit more optimal than what I just did with the plastic wrap. That was just a bit more wasteful. You're not too late, and Justin. We're about to get into the most exciting portion of today, guys, which is we're going to be making the guacamole now properly. We're going to be doing this in a molcajete today. So we're going to talk about the function and the beauty of a molcajete and its importance to Mexican cooking. So guys, are you excited for this? It's time. It is absolutely time. Okay, I've just wiped off my station, nice and easy. There you go. I'm gonna set a towel down. And guys, this right here is a molcajete. This is it, this is my pride and joy. This is the workhorse of any Mexican household. Okay, any traditional Mexican household. I'm not Mexican at all. I'm Russian Jewish. But it is also the workhorse of my household whenever I make dishes like this. So what is the beauty? What is the importance of a molcajete, guys? A molcajete traditionally, and not the fake concrete ones, should be made out of stone. It should be made out of specifically basalt? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's made out of volcanic stone. You work or do Twitch only? Dashi, I have 3 jobs. I'm an esports commentator, I am a cooking teacher for a non-profit organization, and then I also do Twitch 3 times a week. So I do quite a bit. So guys, this is a molcajete and it's been beautifully cured. So why is a molcajete different from a regular mortar and pestle? It's made from basalt. This molcajete, it's not for pounding. It's not for tapping. It's for grinding. Why is it for grinding? Look at the texture of the molcajete. Look at the stone. That coarseness, that natural abrasion of the stone grinds things down. When you see something called stone ground, that is exactly what happens. You have stone that is literally grinding something apart. Okay, and that is the beauty and the function of a molcajete. A molcajete is able to effectively grind down things like skins. It's able to grind down tomato skins. It's able to grind down garlic. It's able to grind down chilies without over-processing it. If you want to make a guacamole at home and you don't have a molcajete, you don't need a molcajete. You can also just do this in a food processor. But there is a difference in texture. A molcajete is not necessarily better or worse than a food processor. A molcajete grinds and a food processor chops, it blends, okay? And so you just get a different texture at the end of the day. Don't you find rock pieces in your food after? Dashi, amazing question. The answer is you have very, very tiny microparticles of actual rock in there that contribute to the taste. But any big chunks of rock, we got rid of it in a process called curing. So when I bought the molcajete itself, I treated it with a bunch of rice and salt and washed it out thoroughly. And I did that in order to smooth it out so that it's not completely coarse like sand. So it's an amazing question. You can't just use these out of the box. So guys, it's time for us to begin the beautiful guacamole. So these are my serranos, my onions, and my garlic, alongside one of like half of my lime juice. I separated the rest of the lime juice because we need some lime juice in this stage so that we don't have garlic that's too pungent. By grinding the garlic and actually crushing it and processing it with the lime juice, we're preventing it from becoming too pungent. So guys, I'm just going to go ahead and just dump all of that in, my serranos, my garlic, and I'm going to go ahead and go in with a little bit of salt. And so, I'm also going to do something that might shock some of you. I'm also going to start this off with a little bit of cilantro. The rest of the cilantro is going to go in at the end. And so we might be losing some of the flavor by grinding the cilantro like this. Okay? But it's going to basically form this incredible cream that's then going to flavor the rest of the guacamole. The rest of this we're just mixing in. Okay guys, so that's all inside with a little bit of salt to help it, the abrasion. And all I'm going to do, guys, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to grind it all. We're not crushing it, we're not squashing it, we're not pounding it. I'm grinding down the garlic, I'm grinding down the cilantro, I'm grinding down the chilies, and the goal now is to make a beautiful paste. The 1 serrano to 1 avocado ratio might make this a little bit too spicy, but that's okay by me. I don't mind a little bit of heat. And we're just grinding it, guys. And you can already see it's doing an amazing job of processing it. Okay? So we're taking it and we're grinding it and we're grinding it and we're grinding it against the stone. Okay? We're taking it and we're going to get this incredible, beautiful garlic paste with the chilies afterwards. And you don't want any whole pieces in there. And the reason we're starting with this by itself is because, again, we want to treat the garlic with the acid, but then we want this to be evenly mixed into everything else. The chilies, the garlic, this is the stuff that we don't want to be in any big pieces inside of the guacamole itself. The guacamole, we're barely going to be mashing it at all. Okay? The avocados, that is, right? Because we don't want the avocados to be too mushy or anything. But this is the stuff we're making the seasoning paste right now. So I'm just going ahead and I'm taking it and I'm grinding all of it up. And it's already turning into it. Make molcajete sound like a God-given tool. This is one of the most ancient cooking tools. That's why a molcajete used to be, you know, the thing that just worked in the kitchen. That, and then I forgot like the name of it, like this big like flat piece of stone with like a rolling stone on it. This did everything in a kitchen at one point, you know? A mortar and pestle, it would grind the spices. I forgot what it's called, the metaje, tetale? I forgot what it's called, but that would be the one that's actually grinding down the corn. This would be making the salsas. This is a very important tool. And it's also incredibly gratifying to use as well. You get a very special taste and texture. In cooking, oftentimes, people incorrectly romanticize the flavor the flavor of a cast iron pan. But a molcajete actually contributes its own flavor. There is a certain taste, not just texture, that a molcajete provides that is completely unique to it. Okay guys, and you can already tell, look at this incredible paste that we're making. It might not seem like much, but this is what's going to then go in and flavor the guacamole. And because you might seem like, oh, Daramgar, this is so much garlic. I promise you, it's not that much. It's not that much because it's all being treated with that lime juice. It's being treated with that acid, and it's not going to be too pungent. But this is the stage, guys, that you don't want to go easy on. You don't want to go easy on this. You want to grind this all up into one big, beautiful paste before we move on to the next step. Okay, the chilies are broken down, the garlic is getting there as well. Beautiful. Does anybody have any questions about this process so far? And it's also a lot of work, so I'm going to go ahead and just tie up my hair. Hi there, I love your accent. Thank you. The molcajete is a good workout. I'm just going to tie up my hair really quickly. Let's get back into it. Saluditos desde Mexico. Well, welcome on in. I am not Mexican. I am Russian Jewish. I just happen to really, really love Mexican food. It is the cuisine that I take so much inspiration from in terms of technique and flavor. Okay, guys. Is everybody enjoying the show so far? Is everybody having a good time? Remember, we do these Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. I believe we also have an additional special stream this Monday. And what I'm trying to teach you is the beauty of what it means to cook at home, guys. I'm teaching you how to make the most out of what you have, how to use simple tools and simple ingredients. We don't do steaks on this stream, right? We don't do anything particularly luxurious. These are all things that I've already had in my fridge. Okay. Okay, there you go. Beautiful. Excellent. We're almost done, guys. This is the part that you really want this to be nice and fully ground. And then the onions, I want a little bit more chunkiness, so we're going to do that step second. There you go. Excellent. I think that looks pretty good. I don't think we need to go any finer on that. And now let's go in with the onions. Because we're only doing a half portion of it, I'm only going to do a couple of scoops of onions. Any more veggie or vegan-based dishes sometime soon? I'll try. I will try to make an active attempt just for you. Okay? You love learning? Well, I'm happy to provide in that case. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and add in a little bit more salt. This is not just for seasoning. This is to help the onions break down. Okay? Can somebody not as divine as you make this paste? Oh, Dashi, you flatter me. Everybody can make this paste with the right tools. And now, guys, you might end up crying a little bit. And we're not looking to get a mush out of the onions. We're just looking to process them a little bit. We're looking to crush them. Okay, and we want them to evenly incorporate and then flavor the guacamole. But we don't want to turn these onions into like a pure puree. And this is why I don't like using a food processor. This is why I hate using a blender for things like guacamole. Because a molcajete gives you so much more control of the texture. It lets you keep that coarseness while still simultaneously grinding down things as papery as the skin. Okay? And when you do that, you get the most incredible texture. It's not loose, it's not too thick, right? It is just perfect. And again, it's not better or worse, it is just its own thing at the end of the day. If you have a food processor, you can do this in a food processor. I would still do it with the same order of operations. Okay? We're working through all of these onions. And again, we're not looking for like a cream, so I think that should be mostly okay. I might just do a couple more onions, actually. This was only a quarter of an onion that I had, so a little bit more will be okay, I think. Just keep processing it. Does anybody have any questions about this process of making the guacamole? Oh, there it is. Onion spamming. That's right. Hello, Oracle. Welcome on in. Lovely to have you. Ah. There you go. Getting all of it done. Where am I from? I'm from Brooklyn. Brooklyn, New York, my whole life. A very proud New Yorker, that is. Okay, and then I'm also going to go ahead and periodically just take a spoon and just scrape down the sides. Just get everything back into the molcajete itself. And again, it really, really does pay to just chop it up a little bit beforehand. So you're not going in with like a whole onion in there, okay? So grind it and twist it and grind it and twist it, guys. Ooh, which city are you from, Dashi, if you're comfortable telling us? Solcon? I think I've heard from Solcon. Treviso? I don't know much about Treviso. Could you tell me about it? Well done hiding the Brooklyn accent. I don't have a Brooklyn accent. I just have my own distinct accent. Okay. There you go. We're almost done, guys. I want to get rid of any of like the super big chunks of onion in here. Okay? That's it. That's all we're working on at the moment. Okay? So the big chunks of onion are mostly gone, but again, we're not looking for like an onion puree or anything. Okay, and now guys, the final step of the actual crushing and the mashing process is going to be the avocado. So I have my 1 avocado instead of initially as intended the 2. And the avocados, they'll need barely any processing. So that's why we're adding in the avocados last in this process. The avocados, they're so soft, they're so delicate, that with just a couple of taps, they do really just come together, okay? Now, I could have probably just added a few pieces of avocado at a time instead of what I just did, which was all of them at once, but that's okay. So guys, all I'm doing, I'm just going through, and some pieces are going to be bigger than others. You would just want this mostly crushed up. But again, you're not looking for like an avocado puree or anything. You're not looking for this to be just mashed and smashed into oblivion. Also, while I have a second, I'm going to release the pressure on my beans. I'm going to take those out. Okay? So all we're doing, guys, we're just going through these big pieces of avocado and we're just crushing it down little by little. The rest of the guacamole is basically done, so we're just processing up the rest of it. And now we're also going to need a little bit more salt at this point. There we go. And guys, we're almost done with the guacamole. That's literally how easy it is. Where did my passion for Mexican food come from? I was very privileged and I had the ability to visit Mexico when I was 12 or 13. And I got a chance to experience some of the markets in Mexico. And that was the part that I really fell in love with. The markets and like the really, really big piles of like chilies. Good job on Bajal this weekend. Why, thank you. Like baby food, you need a little texture. Well, guess what? Look at the amount of texture that this guacamole has. When you do it this way, when you give it this amount of love and care and attention, this isn't like baby food at all. You have like the little chunks of onions, right? It's perfect. Okay, guys, guess what? That is literally almost all. I just still feel a couple of big pieces of avocado in there. That is all of the processing that you really need to do for guacamole. That's it. There is no more needed. Okay. Well, I'm glad to provide. Okay, guys, we're just going to go ahead and quickly clean up our tool here. And now we're going to just take everything and we're going to scoop it back down. And now, guys, this is the final process. This is the final part of the actual guacamole making. We're going to take all the guacamole and we're going to mix the fresh cilantro on in, because you can't have a guacamole without cilantro, guys. Look at this guac. Look at it. There it is. There she is. Just mix it all in, guys. Mix it all the way through. There you go. That is my beautiful guacamole. And now, it's time to give it a taste. So we're tasting for two things. We're tasting for salinity and we're tasting for acidity. If it's not acidic enough, we'll add in some more lime juice. Okay? Perfect. It has everything. We added salt in incrementally, so it has enough salt. It's nice and spicy. It's nice and seasoned. That is the best guacamole I've ever made. This is my first time doing guacamole in my molcajete because I got it recently. That is exactly what it should be like. Let me just show that just by itself, just as is. This is exactly what a guacamole should be, guys. This is it right here. All right. Beautiful. Genuinely gorgeous, isn't it? Nice and simple. We're just mixing all the seasonings, everything through one more time. Also, Also, Deathel, thank you so much for the sub. It's perfectly seasoned. It's perfectly salted. Okay? And so you would want to eat this immediately. Or the best way that I found, the best way that I've devised, you can do one of two things. You could theoretically put lime juice on to stop it from oxidizing, because guys, it is avocados. They do oxidize, they turn brown if you just sort of expose them to the air. But all I'm going to do, I'm going to take some plastic wrap. I don't like using plastic wrap in the kitchen. I try to avoid it as much as I can because it's wasteful. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and just pack this down until we're ready to eat. Okay, or you would just put in a different container, like an airtight container, and wash it off. But this bad boy, I'm going to go ahead and put this behind me. Isn't that great? That's it. That is how beautiful and how simple it is to make the best guacamole of your lives. It is actually just that easy, guys. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple of things away and into the dishwasher, so please bear with me for just a moment. Because remember, we're cooking at home, so we have to clean as we go. And everybody, we're going to do a recap session in just a second. And we're going to walk through and talk about everything that we've managed to accomplish together so far. So is everybody excited for that? I want to hear the nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you. This I'm going to have to wash off later. That's okay. All of that is a problem for future Daramgar. My oven timer is 1 minute behind. The Twitch stream is a minute behind. That's why. So just cleaning up as I go up, just getting rid of a couple of things, getting it off my table, getting all of that lovely stuff done. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for being patient with me throughout this process. Okay. And all of that just got taken care of. So, everybody, we are making today a beautiful black bean cabbage chicken bowl. So we have this lovely little pile of radishes that I wanted to get rid of, so some of this is going to go on top. I have some lovely sliced up cabbage as well. You did just miss Molcajete times Club, I apologize. We made a really, really beautiful guacamole inside of my Molcajete, and we made a big pot of beans. The beans have finished pressure cooking, and now the second step is going to be the final seasoning and the final boiling down of the beans. And then we'll also be working on the chicken. So guys, let's go to the stove. I'm going to show you the beans. They finished pressure cooking, 40 minutes, high pressure. Right, nice big beautiful pot of black beans that I have here. Okay. There we go. Okay guys, and these are my black beans. And now, I don't want you to get rid of, I want everybody right now to listen. I don't want you to get rid of that bean cooking liquid. That bean cooking liquid is going to reduce down and make an incredible sauce for the beans. It is absolutely essential. So we're going to go ahead and turn this pot on to a nice medium heat or so. And then I'm going to go ahead and just start taking out some of the solids that we don't need. So we want to go ahead and we want to get rid of, we want to discard the bay leaves, we want to get rid of the onion, okay? So I'm just going in there really, really gently, picking it up. I'm not smushing the onion, but the onion has done its job. Everybody please say thank you to Mr. Onion. Nice. And I'm just taking out the garlic, and I'm taking out the bay leaves as I see them as well, okay? So I just see a garlic clove or two that I could pick out. Lovely. It's okay if I lose a couple of beans in the process. I don't mind that much. There we go. And I'm sure I'll be able to pick out like the rest of the bay leaves as the process goes on. Okay? And that bay leaf is also gone. Nice. Okay, lovely. So that's the most of the solids. That's the majority of the solids. We'll go back in and get rid of additional bay leaves as they come. And they will come by. We will find them. And I'm just going to go ahead and take a silicone spatula, and I'm going to just scrape up whatever is stuck on the bottom and on the sides. Because beans, they get very viscous. They get very sticky. They can stick to the bottom and they can scorch. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you're stirring this fairly often. Those are not dry beans soaked overnight, and Justin, these were made in the pressure cooker. I don't actually ever soak my black beans. I don't have any of the digestive issues of black beans that people talk about. I do soak my chickpeas though. But I found that black beans I'm okay with as is. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a couple of big hits of salt just to get them nice and seasoned. And now guys, the goal is to get this bean cooking liquid reduced. We wanna go ahead and get this from like a soup to a stew of black beans, okay? And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and work on everything else that we actually need. Okay, so is everybody ready? We have to go ahead and make the seasoning blend for the chicken itself. let's go ahead and get that started as well. So, do I smash them? What do you mean? No, I do not. I do not, Death Owl. The way that you get like a really beautiful thick pot of beans, you don't even need to smash them. I'm only smashing them if I'm making refried beans. But the reason we don't smash them is because we have all of this bean cooking liquid. Once this bean liquid actually reduces, you're going to see how beautiful and thick it all gets, okay? So just keep it going, keep it moving, and then it'll transform in the blink of an eye. Okay, we have to do a little bit more prep. I'm actually going to just go back to my cutting board really quickly. I realized there is one last thing that I did end up neglecting. I have this red bell pepper, this orange bell pepper, excuse me, that I wanted to get rid of. And all I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to shave it down the sides, and I'm going to leave all of the white part on the inside. Just shave it off, nice and easy. And you can see the white part and the seeds are all kept inside like that. And this I'm also just going to go ahead and garnish my bowl with. I'm not going to cook them, I'm not going to saute them, I'm not going to do anything crazy. Although, we could do a sauteed bell pepper, I just don't think it's that necessary. I'm just going to go ahead and slice these the way that I would like to have in a bowl. Okay. It worked great, well, I'm happy to help. So all I'm doing, guys, I'm just going through it all, slicing it up nice and easy. Beautiful. And take it and move it back around. I neglected to put down a wet paper towel under it. I don't want pieces that are like too fine. I'm not looking for pieces that are too big either on this bell pepper. I'm just looking for something that I can top a bowl with. Okay. There you go. I do wish I had a salsa for this bowl today, but that's okay. We do not, and we'll live with the consequences. Okay, great. That's all that we need to do for it. Nice and sweet. And I'm going to go back into the black beans, and I'm going to stir the pot. I'm going to agitate it, and I'm going to scrape up anything that could be stuck to the bottom. It is imperative that you do so, guys. Absolutely imperative. Okay. 32, well, I do 2 quarts of water. I don't know how many that is in pounds. To 1 pound of beans. Okay. That's all done. Lovely. That's my red bell pepper. And now, guys, we have one last step that we actually need to do for today is going to be, it's going to be the spices. It's going to be doing the spices for the chicken. So, we're going to be using, I have 2 molcajetes. Technically, this is my mortar and pestle. This is not a molcajete. This I just use for my spices because the other one is currently in use. So actually, Scrublo, there is a little bit more molcajete time. Okay, guys, this is going to be the seasoning blend for the chicken. The seasoning blend is only going to be added in at the end. And the reason that we do this is because if you just put spices directly onto a piece of chicken, what happens is the spices end up burning before the chicken is actually fully and thoroughly cooked through on the inside. So we're going to add in some oregano, a nice little pinch of oregano for my spice blend today. And we do whole, not pre-ground spices, guys. We do whole spices because it has so much more warmth, so much more flavor, okay? So some cumin seeds going in as well, because you can't have Mexican food without oregano and cumin. You just cannot. And I'm going to go ahead and use this bad boy right here, and we're just going to go ahead and grind this up into a little powder. Wow, I spent so much time using that other one that I forgot what this one is even like. And we're going to just grind this up until we get rid of all of the fibrous bits in the cumin seeds, okay? Now, if you would also like, would you guys like me to do a seasoning piece with like a whole chili as well? Where's the guacamole? Hapsla, it's already behind me. The guacamole is already done behind me. We're actually not gonna do this with the chili. We're just gonna do dried spices for this today. I've realized. We're just gonna do this. Okay, lovely. Getting it through. Let's go ahead and give the beans a little stir because again, because of how much protein it has, because of how much starch, it can get really viscous and thick at the bottom and on the sides. So you want to go in there and you want to just scrape the pot periodically. Okay, scrape it off and let it go back in. Okay, and we're just continuing to grind all of this stuff up, guys. Just getting it done. Compared to the other one, guys, this one is so easy to use. This one is so light by comparison. No, Hapsley, the molcajete is already behind me. This one is the real deal. This is my other one for spices. This is just a mortar and pestle. This is not a molcajete. Oh gosh, I got some avocado on it. I will not take these allegations that I am not using a real molcajete because I am. This is not a molcajete though. The one behind me is. Oh, okay. Oh, Hapsa, I thought you were talking. Never mind. I thought you were talking to me. My fault. I got really defensive. I got very insecure over it. Okay, that should be ground enough for the spice blend for today. And now we're going to just go ahead and spoon in a couple of other things. I just think I just want some paprika in this. Some paprika and some black pepper will be good. A little bit of paprika, mostly for color reasons. Just do like a half a spoon of that. There you go. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the stream, Hapsley. Sorry, my bad. Okay, there you go. That's all that. And then I'm also going to go ahead and do some freshly ground black pepper. Just now, I guess I could have put, peppercorns in here and ground it up as well. I didn't think it was that necessary. Okay, I think that should be fine. Ruda, thank you for the reminder to drink some water. Okay. There we go. And this is going to just be the seasoning blend for the chicken. Okay. So all that we have to do, guys, we're going to go ahead and transfer this into a separate container. And again, I don't like cooking my chicken with the spices. I do a double cooking method. I twice cook it. Okay, so the first time I just cook the chicken with salt so I can get a really, really beautiful color, a really beautiful crust on it. Okay, and then just gonna go ahead and just dump in all of these lovely, freshly ground up spices all into this little container. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly wipe this off and put this away. Never really need to clean this because it's just straight up stone and spices. Okay, that's it. I do believe that is actually all of the prep that we needed to get done for today, guys. So let's go ahead and take another look at our beans. Let's go back to the stove. We're going to go ahead and give them a little taste, of course. And now you can see this pot of beans. It's getting more and more stew-like the more that we go on. We scrape off whatever was stuck onto the side. And now we have this delicious pot of beans. Excellent. It's getting there, guys. It's getting there. It's becoming nice and viscous. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and give this a little taste. Am I a chef? No, but I've been cooking my whole life. I consider myself an amateur professional. I just want to teach people how to cook at home. Okay. And I think Instant Pots are a great way of getting more beans in your diet at home because I hate canned beans. I hate the overcooked texture and the lack of cooking liquid and the cost. Guys, these black beans are wonderful. And if you think it's bland and it's still like too wet, just give it a little bit more time to reduce the liquid and let the flavors concentrate for that relative amount of liquid. Okay, guys, we're about to do the cooking of the chicken. I'm going to go ahead and just throw that onto a little plate for us. Just take that out of the fridge because I've had a dry brining. And we're going to do one last recap session. So, is everybody excited? Is everybody ready? We're going to do the recap session and then we're going to begin the cooking of the chicken. I like it when everybody says yes, chef. So I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you from everybody watching. It's not an option at all. So one last step actually that we need to do for the chicken is we're just going to go ahead and pat this thing dry with some paper towel. Okay, because we've had a dry brining. It pulled out some of the excess moisture, so it's a little bit damp on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take the chicken and I'm going to go ahead and thoroughly pat each piece of this nice and dry, so that when it cooks, it doesn't splash everywhere. Okay, that's one of those bad boys. I don't have a lot of space on this surface, but that's okay. That's two, lovely. Okay. And then of course, my cute little chicken tenders as well. Hello, my friend, I missed you. That's one, and that's two. And I'm thinking maybe we do the carbon steel for this today. That could be good. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and do a recap session. We're about to cook the chicken and we're about to assemble the bowls. First and foremost, we currently have in my pot, I have reducing down a pot of beans that we made in the pressure cooker. I put it back on the heat to concentrate the flavors and get its cooking liquid nice and beautifully thick. And it's going to thicken more as it cools down, so I could probably actually shut it off the heat now. But this pot of beans is seasoned with some sazon. It has some bay leaves, it has some onion, it has some garlic in there as well. We are going to be going ahead and doing a double cooking process on this chicken. So I have this chicken. After we take it off, I'm going to be then hitting it with spices and cooking it again. If we added all the spices immediately, all of them would end up burning. So we do a double-step cooking method to develop the color, develop the crust, and then get the spices nice and beautifully toasted. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just set this bad boy behind me. Then guys, we have some lovely sliced up cabbage, we have some lovely sliced up radishes, and then we also have some orange bell peppers that I went ahead and cut it up. And this is also going to be, the cabbage is going to be the base of the bowl. The bell peppers and the nice thinly sliced radishes are all going to go inside. I don't typically like cookbooks, but maybe I could be convinced if it's any good. Okay guys, and then we have my big, beautiful molcajete with all of our homemade guacamole in there, with avocados, with serrano chilies, with some lime juice, with some garlic and onion as well. So it's beautifully seasoned, it's really nice and spicy. This is the real, centerpiece of today. And so, I do believe we could probably just get started on the cooking process of the chicken. So let's go ahead and get that going now. So the first decision I need to make is which pan do I actually want to use for today? Which pan do I want to be using for today? I could use my carbon steel pan, but then it's kind of annoying to clean. Am I going to do my big stainless steel pan? It's a little too big. I feel like I do need some more pans. What days do I usually stream? Every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So that's my schedule. Every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 5 p.m. EST each. Okay. I feel like we should use my big stainless steel pan for this today. I think that should be what I'm doing with myself. So let's go ahead and just get my station set up a little bit better behind me. Just get all of that going now. I could do the carbon steel pan, but yeah, it's just annoying. It's annoying, and I don't think I have enough space on it. Okay, guys. So let's head to the stove. I'm going to get my nice Mavier stainless steel pan out. You don't have to use a Mavier stainless steel pan, but this is my tool of choice. Okay, we're going to heat this up nice and slowly on a medium heat, guys. We're heating this up on a medium. Why? With stainless steel pans, maybe this one you don't have to because it's a clad pan, but with stainless steel pans, I want you all to pay attention. If you heat this up on high really quickly, you're going to have cold spots and hot spots. By heating this up slowly on a medium heat, okay? On a medium heat, it's going to be nice and evenly heated. And we're going to, because this is a clad pan, if this wasn't a clad pan, you wouldn't have to do this. We're going to add in a little bit of oil now. You can use whichever neutral oil that you would like. Peanut oil, avocado oil, canola oil. I have a little bit of peanut oil here because I do a lot of Chinese food. So a little bit of peanut oil, and we don't need actually too much because we're going to have a lot of fat from the actual chicken skin itself. So guys, heat this up slowly on a medium heat, slowly. If you crank this up on a high heat, then you think, oh, my pan is nice and hot. You have hot spots and cool spots. Medium heat for a longer period of time. I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. Oof, I am using up some dishes today, my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna also just take a second and put a couple of things away. Now that I have a second to do so, I apologize for giving you guys such a close-up of myself. Ah! Okay. And just put my sazon away. Lovely. I don't think I need this onion for anything else today. I'm gonna go ahead and put this into the fridge. I believe in garnish it with the raw red onions too. Why not? I do wish I made like an additional salsa in addition to all of this, right? Like a really nice like spicy salsa would have been so good, but that's okay. That's okay. That is for another time, I suppose. Okay. And then I guess we'll just actually start building the bowl properly itself. Okay. Let's go ahead and just like assemble our table. Let's assemble our station one more time. So guys, here's the order of operations. We're going to be searing this chicken. Again, this chicken has just been salted. Don't worry, all of these spices we will be adding to the chicken, but we're doing this in a two-stage cooking process. We first sear the chicken, and then we go ahead and spice it up really, really nicely. Okay, we're going to be doing the breast first and then the tenders later because the breasts, they do take less time than the tenders. And I'm going to just go ahead and put this behind me. And I'm just going to be setting up my station for slicing the chicken, because we're going to be slicing it up after it's cooked, of course. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead and take a nice paper towel. Here you go. And guys, we don't need this oil to be particularly smoking hot for the chicken. And the reason for this is because we're going to be doing it skin side down first. By doing it skin side down first, we're going to slowly render the fat between the chicken skin and the actual flesh itself. I need my own show. Hapsley, that's what I'm saying. I do agree that I need my own show. By the way, everybody, if you would like to support it in the meantime, you can just type in ! Patreon. You can just go into the About section. I'm trying to be able to do this full time at some point or another, so any and all help would be really, really appreciated. Okay, just getting that nice and set up. Ready to go for this today. We're going to go ahead and head back to the stove. And again, we're just looking for this oil to slightly smoke. We don't need this to be as hot as we cook a steak. In fact, I would advise you from having a super high heat. When you have something as delicate as a chicken breast, when you have something with as little fat as a chicken breast, and you slam it on a high heat, what happens is the outside of it overcooks by the time that the inside is done. You might get a beautiful crust, but a beautiful crust can also be built up over time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the chicken down, and we're going to let it naturally unstick. Once it unsticks, we'll flip it over and we'll let it naturally unstick. Afterwards, we're going to be flipping it every 30 seconds or so until it's fully done. I don't love going from the pan to the oven. I don't like that method. That's a very restaurant-y method, and it doesn't lead a very consistently cooked piece of meat. Hapsley, well, I'm glad that I can provide. That's all I do, right? I love doing, live, just like being on camera. Okay guys, so the oil is smoking now. It's lightly smoking. We don't want it to be too much hotter than this. All we're doing, guys, we're picking up the pan, we're distributing the oil because you want the chicken to be in full contact with the oil. And we take the chicken, and we're going to lay it away from us so it doesn't splash, skin side down. And it's not going to stick immediately, but it's going to stick and unstick over the process of the next minute. So guys, do not touch this chicken. Do not touch this chicken now. Do not touch it. Chat, do we touch it? I want to hear a nice no chef from everybody watching. We do not touch this chicken. We're going to let it naturally and slowly unstick. And if it's pulling, if you feel like it's sticking, I promise you, it's because you just haven't given this enough time yet. Okay, and that's all that's going on. That's the only mechanism at play here. Now we have to decide. Am I going to slice it up, like chop it up into like little cubes and then cook it again? I think that's what I want to do. I want to do like a twice cooked kind of thing. And the reason for that is because we get to let it rest, and if the chicken is a little bit underdone, we get to basically cut it up into cubes and recook it one more time. So that's what I'm leaning towards at the moment, instead of keeping it whole, So guys, let's just go ahead and give it a poke. Let's go ahead and see. Mr. Chicken, are you unsticking? Guess what? It's not sticking in the slightest, and we're using a stainless steel pan. Guys, it's because we evenly heated the pan. If we started with a super high heat, and we only heated up the stainless steel pan for 2 minutes, or like a minute, you're gonna have hot spots and cool spots. Because we heated it up slowly on a medium heat. We have no cool spots, and we gave it enough time before we actually moved it. So we're just gonna give this a few more seconds, okay? Just give it a few more seconds, and then we'll give it the old flipskis yet again. I'm just cleaning up behind me in the meantime while this is going. Excellent. Very happy about how everything is just progressing. Everything is just falling into place, guys. But yeah, any and all support on the Patreon would be appreciated. I'm trying to get this to be full-time for me one day. Okay, that looks really, really nice. We're actually going to flip it now, though. So don't worry about the crispy chicken skin. All of that is still going to come. Okay, so just give this a nice little rotation. And we're going to let it naturally unstick again. We want to be flipping it over frequently, guys, because think about it. We have a high heat coming in from one side. If we don't flip it often, you're going to create a bullseye effect. Okay, you're going to create a bullseye effect where the outside is overcooked and you risk the inside being underdone. So once we get past the stage where the chicken could actually stick and overcook, we're then going to start by flipping it, flipping it, flipping it, flipping it. Trust the process, okay? It is optimal to do it that way. There is a lot of nonsense about how to cook a piece of meat, especially on the internet, when they say, oh, you only flip it once when you're cooking it. Just flip it once. Absolute nonsense. You will get that bullseye effect and you will have an overcooked outside and an undercooked inside. Flip it often. and you will have a perfectly evenly cooked piece of meat, guys. So let's take a look. And what we're also doing, guys, occasionally when we're picking it up, we're rotating it, because the spots where it's empty is where it gets hot, and the spot where the chicken is becomes the coldest spot. So we're making sure to rotate along the pan. So we're rotating it, and then we're going to flip it, and then we're going to start by flipping it every 20, 30 seconds or so. Okay? How long have I been a streamer specifically doing cooking content? I have been on and off gaming streaming for Smash Bros. For 3 years. But then at some point I realized I hate streaming Smash Bros. I actually hate streaming video games. Because my passion is teaching people and helping people how to do things that I really care about. And cooking has been my lifelong hyperfixation. It's been my lifelong passion. It's been my lifelong pursuit. And so at some point, you know what I was doing? I was doing like watching YouTube videos of like cooking things and like criticizing them. And then I realized that's easy, lazy content. It's nothing. And I want to actually teach people what it means to cook. I want to have my own cooking show. So I consider less of myself as like a cooking streamer, but more of a cooking show host. So guys, take a look. Take a look. Look at the beautiful color that we have. And we're making sure to rotate these things often. We didn't add the chicken tenders immediately because the chicken tenders are really, really thin. The chicken tenders are so petite and tiny. If we added the chicken tenders now, they would just end up overcooking. Okay? So guys, all we're doing, we're just letting this go, and then we're going to rotate it. In fact, I could just set a timer on my phone. I think that would be the best practice here. Just so, because I find my internal clock is pretty bad, actually. So let's go ahead and just get that going. Okay. And I'm just going to set my stopwatch. Every 30 seconds or so, we'll flip it. Nice and easy. That's how easy it is to cook chicken on a pan, guys. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't put it into the oven. Don't do this nonsense of not flipping it. Just flip it off. And I'm not even going to be using a probe thermometer. Well, I mean, I could. I could do that. I could take my thermometer out for this. I just feel confident without needing to. We'll talk about like ways to actually test for doneness. One of the most important ways that you can test for doneness, guys, though, is intuition and time. With enough time, with enough intuition, you'll be able to naturally recognize the signs that meat is done. So something that I want you all to start playing with. I want you all to start poking it. I want you to start feeling how the meat tenses up the further that you cook it up until 155 degrees. That's what we're shooting for, 155. But we're going to actually undershoot it because we're going to twice cook it, okay? I want you to feel how the tension changes. I want you to feel how the look changes. The biggest thing that we're looking for, guys, okay, I want you all to pay attention. I want you to pay attention to how much the meat buckles. Is everybody listening? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. Please and thank you. Meat is like a sponge. The more that you cook it, the more it buckles and the more it actually ends up releasing its liquid. If you start seeing a bunch of water pool up on your chicken, it's a very good indication that it's at least 155 degrees minimum. So as it cooks, it's going to progressively release more and more liquid. Okay? It's inevitable with any cooking process that that's what happens. Okay, and also at this stage, with this much cook time, I'm going to add in the chicken tenders. The chicken tenders will take basically no time at all. And we're just going to, again, naturally let that unstick. I know that I just added raw chicken, guys. It's going to be okay, I promise. The chicken tenders are going to cook quickly. They're going to catch up just fine. And you can see, we're starting to really develop that beautiful color. Okay, so we're just going to slightly lower the heat. And we're going to continue to keep flipping and keep cooking. Just keep it cooking, guys. That's all that you have to do. If you have a press, if you have a weight that does help it to cook really nicely and evenly, I would highly recommend investing in one of those. And the chicken tenders, because they're so small, they're not going to give us a lot of time to get any color on it. Okay. So they're basically going to take like 2 minutes tops. So just keep it going, guys. Just keep this process going. It's really, really easy. Nice and simple. In the meantime, this is a really good chance to ask me any cooking questions that you may have. It can be about this dish. It can be about something else that we're doing. I'm also going to just go ahead and get the plate ready for today, which is just actually one bowl. Boop, just this guy. Let's go ahead and give everything a nice flip. Get it all on a cycle together. Also, the one thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to get my lime ready. Because I wanted some lime as a garnish. So I'm just going to cut this into some wedges and just set that aside. Very nice. Nice and easy. Okay, let's head back to the stove. And guys, you can see it's just coming along nicely and easily and beautifully. We're getting some gorgeous color on it. We're not overcooking it. We're getting it nice and evenly cooked by flipping it so often. But yes, any questions that you may have, this is a really good time to ask me. Okay. I'm also just looking behind me. I'm inspecting my station and everything, making sure, is there anything else I can get rid of? Anything else I can just throw into the dishwasher while I wait? Anything else I could be... Those beans are good. I love beans with sazon. It's the best. Okay. And let's give that a flip. Nice. And because, again, guys, even if we do accidentally overcook this, because of the fact that we dry brined it, it's going to retain that moisture so much better. Have I ever worked with beef tongue? And Justin, amazing question. I have. So I grew up Russian Jewish. Russians love their veal tongue. And I have made like a lengua taco before. So I grew up with like a lot of boiled veal tongue, and I made like a lengua taco. Thoughts on MSG, do I use it at all? I think MSG is a little bit cliche. I use it sometimes in context. I don't ever feel like I need it, but it's just fine. It's a seasoning, much like anything else is. Okay. Just gonna add that into the pot. Lovely. Okay, is there anything else I can get rid of? I don't think I really need my bench scraper for anything else anymore. Let's give that chicken a little flip. And guys, you can tell. Look at the water. Look at the moisture. Look at the moisture. You see that moisture? Remember how I talked about it? That's the moisture cooking out of the chicken. That's the meat buckling. It's like a sponge. It's going to squeeze it out the longer that you actually cook it. Okay? So, that's a very good indication that we're about to get there. So a couple more minutes for the breasts. And the chicken tenders, I can tell you with some amount of confidence that these are already done because they're so small and tiny. We'll go ahead and pull them off. And I'm going to go ahead and just use a separate fresh pair of tongs. And it was indeed a myth. Yes, it is a myth that MSG is bad. So guys, I'm just going to go ahead and just pick up my chicken tenders, and it's okay if they're a little bit undercooked. But the breasts, actually, it's okay if they're undercooked because we're going to do a twice cook on it, guys. We're going to slice this up, we're going to chop it up into cubes, and then I'm just putting it onto the separate plate for it to rest at the moment. Okay. So guys, take a look. And I promise you this is fully cooked through. So really quickly, the one thing that we need to make sure of is that we take this pan also off the heat in the meantime. We want to take that nice and off the heat, okay? So let's take a look at my chicken. So you might look at this and go, Dara, that looks like a normally cooked piece of chicken, but it's not very exciting. This isn't a very exciting piece of meat at the moment. Guys, this is going to get hit with my beautiful spice blend that I have here. My ground cumin, my paprika, my oregano as well, my black pepper. It's all going to get seasoned, and then it's all going to go back into the pan for a second cook. We don't cook it with the spices because the spices can really, really easily burn. Okay, so we're letting the chicken rest. We're letting it rest, and then we're going to cut it up into cubes, and then we're going to throw it into the pan with all the spices, and it's going to be beautiful. So we're doing a double cooked chicken. So it's okay for this chicken to be a little bit underdone at this stage. Although, I can tell you that these tenders are more than done and ready for a little snack. Yeah. Excellent. That is a fully cooked tender. And guys, guess what? It is juicy. Ooh, it's hot. I should have probably let it rest more. But it is juicy. It is perfect. That is a perfect tender. Dry brining is the way to go, guys. It's the way to go. Okay. So we're going to let this rest a little bit. We want to let this rest because if we slice into it when it's hot, the meat juices will all spill out. Because the hotter it is, the less viscous it is. Is there specific spices that can easily burn spices in general? Do I use this double cooking technique for this dish specifically? Okay. the further ground the spices, the easier it burns. So if you have, like, for example, coarse peppercorns, like just flattened peppercorns, that won't burn that easily. In general, herbs, garlic powder, that kind of a thing, burns a little bit easier than others. Things that come from seeds, like cumin seeds, they take a little bit longer. But the finer it is ground, the more quickly it actually does end up burning. So I do hope that answers your question. The one thing I am going to quickly do though, I'm going to go ahead and just take, wait, where is my olive oil? Am I insane? Where did my olive oil go? Aha, I found it. I'm going to create like a bit of a spice paste almost, using a little drizzle of olive oil in here, and it's going to help it to cling on to the meat itself, okay? It's going to just help it all stick together. And we're letting it rest again, because it's a little bit too watery right now. We're letting the juices become a little bit more viscous as it cools down, so that when we slice into it, it doesn't all spill out. We could, however, probably just start slicing up and chopping up the tender. And again, I'm not looking for tiny pieces in this bowl, so this is about the slice that I'm looking for at the moment. I think something like that would be just perfect. And the actual breasts, because of how thick they are, they're going to need a little bit more time. Okay, and you can see with how much liquid, again, they're pooling out. I can tell you that that is a perfectly cooked, fully cooked chicken breast. Is everybody excited for the assembly of this bowl? We're almost done with the cooking process, guys. We're almost done. We're just letting it rest for a few more minutes, and then it's going to be perfect. Is everybody excited? I'm going to go ahead and just continue piling things into my dishwasher while we wait for all of that to get done. Just takes a second, guys. You have to be nice and patient with it. Everything takes a little bit of time in the kitchen. Everything is a bit of a process. Don't slice into your seared steaks, your chickens immediately. You want to let it rest. Okay? The juices, they end up spilling out immediately unless you do so. Okay? And just throw that into my fridge as well. Okay, very cool, very sweet. And let's just get that pan back onto the heat, guys. We're going to do that going on now. We just took it off the heat so that all of this is the fond, it doesn't burn. We can even probably just sort of reduce that in some water, make like a little sauce after out of it almost. Did I put the wrong tongs away? I did put the wrong tongs away. I still needed those. Uh-oh, that's obnoxious. Come back, I still need you. I'm gonna quickly wash you off. I'm gonna put the old tongs away because we don't really need them at the moment. I'm thinking, do I want to turn this into like a sauce? I don't really know if I want like a sauce for this. We'll feel it out. We'll feel it out as needed. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy back onto the heat, guys. Okay. And now let's go ahead and head on over to the cutting board. I'll hydrate. I did it. Okay. All right. So, chicken breast. Nice and beautifully rested. If this is not fully cooked through, it's totally okay because we're doing a double-step cooking method, guys. So cut it in half. Ooh, actually, that is a very beautifully cooked piece of chicken. That is actually kind of perfect. It's like 155, that's what I was looking for. And guys, think about the kinds of pieces that you actually want for yourself. This is what I'm going for. You don't want to cut them too small because otherwise the chicken can and will overcook in this two-step cooking process. Okay? So take the chicken and I'm combining it back into the bowl, back into the plate on which it rested. There you go. Second chicken breast. And guys, done completely on the pan. No need for any oven cooking whatsoever. I hate doing chicken breasts in the oven because they're so delicate. Okay? There you go. There you go. Lovely. Excellent. And now, guys, all that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just take my little seasoning paste here, okay? And I'm going to just dump it and make sure that it's fully covering all of the chicken. Just go ahead and just take the rest of it out. I could have probably used a tool for this. That wasn't my hands, but that's okay. And now, all of the spices, everything is now perfectly clinging onto the chicken. And we're going to cook this one more time. Okay, all perfectly cooked. We're just getting the whole thing nice and beautifully covered. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, and we're just waiting for the pan to heat back on up. We're waiting for that to just get nice and hot. I could have used any other tool other than my hands, but that's fine. That's okay. Okay, guys, the final cooking process. It's about to happen now. All that we're going to do, we're just going to quickly, and I do mean really, really quickly, the chicken is already cooked. We're just going to quickly throw it into the hot pan. It still has enough fat, it still has enough oil from before, okay? We're going to throw it back in. Actually, it is a little dry. We could do a splash more fat. It'll be fine. And then we're going to probably deglaze it with a little bit of water, just to stop it from getting too, dark on the bottom. So just have that ready to go. Okay, guys, let's begin. Let's go back to the stove. This is my double cooking process for the chicken that I love doing at home, so it doesn't burn the spices this way. And we're adding all of that chicken, all of that liquid back on into the pan, guys. All of it in. And we're just letting it go for a second, just by itself. Let it do its thing. And then the chicken shouldn't be sticking because it's already cooked. That's all the spices on the bottom that are then causing it to look like really brown. Okay? We're just toasting up the spices now, guys. And if you can see, some of the spices are stuck on the bottom. That's totally okay. We'll try our best to scrape some of it off. And if it's not scraping off, all that we need to do, we're going to go in with a splash of water into the whole thing and unstick it all and distribute it all around the chicken. Distribute it, and now we're letting this liquid reduce. We're letting it reduce, guys. Scrape it all off. We're heating up the spices. We're letting it toast. Just let that reduce for a second, and the pan's going to get nice and dry, and it's going to go ahead and toast again. I should publish a cookbook. Maybe. I just don't believe in really selling knowledge. I don't really believe in selling information. The beauty of a cooking stream, and what I really, really like doing here, is that I'm keeping this entirely free to watch for people. And so I like asking for your support on a Patreon. And if I ever do write anything, I want it to be completely free to download online. It's just, to write a cookbook is quite a bit of time and resources. Okay, there we go. Excellent. And guys, we're just waiting for this liquid to reduce again. We've picked up all of the fond. We've basically given the chicken its own sauce, right? All those beautifully toasted spices. Excellent. Putting it back in, let's go ahead and take a little piece out for taste. Excellent. That should be it. That's perfect. Let's go ahead and kill the heat. Guys, guess what? We've finished everything. Let's go ahead and make this incredible bowl. I don't actually know exactly how it's going to look because it doesn't have any rice, but let's just go ahead and build it now, guys. First, we have some of a really, really lovely sliced up cabbage as the base. But I want this to be not a hot bowl, not like a cold bowl. It's not like a salad bowl. I want this to be nice and warm. Okay? So a nice, generous amount of cabbage. That's what I want as my base. And now, let's go ahead and get my perfectly cooked, seasoned, juicy chicken right onto the cabbage on one side. Let's pile it up. Okay. I think that should be enough chicken for me. Something like that. Okay, guys, and now I'm going to go ahead and get a nice scoop. Excuse me. How long was the chicken cook? I'm not entirely sure. I was going by purely visual cue because every chicken breast is going to take slightly different to cook. Okay. I'm going to go in and get a nice, beautiful ladle of my black beans with plenty of that cooking liquid because that's where all of the flavor of the black beans is laying. There we go, guys. 1 second. My black beans, my chicken. Okay, you ready for this? Let's go ahead and move on to the next step. Let's go ahead and get some of my bell pepper. Actually, I think I would like it more on this side to contrast with those black beans more. Okay. And then let's go ahead and get some of my lovely radishes out. Woo! I dropped some on the ground. Excuse me. Annoying. Incredibly annoying, in fact. Let's go ahead and get a nice, generous pile of radishes. Because again, the goal of this is I wanted to use up a bunch of radishes that I had in my fridge. Okay? Almost done. I know we have a lot of toppings. We have a lot of things that we need to assemble here. I also have some pickled onions that I wanted to use up. So let's go ahead and grab some of those now. I have some pickled onions that we did a couple streams ago that have just been sitting in my fridge. Let's go ahead and grab a couple of those bad boys and throw them on now. I think over here would be a nice placement for it. Could have probably moved that over a little bit. That's okay. Nice pile of pickled onions. Okay, guys, and last but not least, let's not forget the perhaps most important component of today, which is going to be the guacamole. So let's go ahead and get a nice, big, generous scoop of that going inside. Made in a molcajete. Okay? Nice, generous scoop. Because guess what? I paid for the avocado myself. I can put as much of this as I would like. There you go. That is a generous, generous scoop of guacamole. If I've ever seen one. Okay? Guys, final touch. If I had some cilantro to garnish, I would add it. But alas, I used all of it up. So instead, I'm just going to have one little lime wedge right here. There you go. And that's it. That's my bowl. Everybody, let's go ahead and walk through the ingredients before we give it a taste and before we sit down and eat everything. We have put a lot of love. We have made every single component that is standing in front of you right now. Guys, this right here, this is my beautiful bowl. We have made every single component that you see in front of you. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through it all. We have this really, really gorgeous, delicious black bean. We started from dry black beans. We cooked it with some sazon, with some onions, with some garlic, and some bay leaves. And we pressure cooked it, and then we reduced down the cooking liquid. We have this juicy double cooked chicken. We broke down a whole chicken ourselves. We dry brined it with some salt. We made a lovely seasoning out of some whole ground spices, and then we cooked it after we seared it. I have some homemade pickled onions. I have some thinly sliced radish. I have some bell peppers. And I have this amazing guacamole that we made in a molcajete. We have some avocados. We have some cilantro in there. We have some lime juice, some garlic and some onions. A little lime juice on the side as well. All of that topped over some cabbage. So let's go ahead, guys. Let's take the lime juice. And let's go ahead and just squeeze it over. Ooh, I dropped my lime. Oh no. My fingers are very slippery when it comes to lime wedges. Okay, and let's just go ahead and grab a nice bite of everything all together. It's gonna be probably a little too hot to put into my mouth, just like so. Just tearing on into it. Mmm. 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 Guys, this is pretty excellent. Mmm. Mmm. There's so much flavor. There's so many different textures. There's so many different components, guys. Mmm. The pickled onions bring so much acidity. The guacamole is nice and creamy. The chicken is juicy. The black beans are so flavorful. The radishes and bell peppers and cabbage are so fresh. Mmm. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Mmm. Now, ideally, I would do this over rice. I just wanted some less carbs today because I've been eating a lot of rice lately. But, so I just chose cabbage as my base, and also because I had some cabbage to get rid of. Oh, trust me, this has plenty of the bean cooking liquid. Mm. And that's it. That's all that there is to it. Everybody, I hope that you enjoyed the cooking show. I hope that you all enjoyed the cooking stream. I hope you've all really, really enjoyed the program so far. Everybody, if you would like to support, please check out my Patreon. Any and all help, they would be really appreciated. I'm trying to be able to make this full time. We stream every single Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time each. You can also go ahead and join my Discord, !Discord, or just scroll down and go into the About section. Thank you all. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you all for being here. This Friday, 5 p.m. EST is going to be the next cooking stream. We stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, 3 days a week. And then we have a bonus stream this week coming up on Monday. So thank you all. I appreciate every single one of you for being here. I don't know what we're doing Friday yet. We'll just have to find out. Maybe something with skirt steak because I have some. Yeah, once again, guys, thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday night if you're watching this live. And until next time, until Friday, bye-bye.